San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime years.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? Happy Monday morning to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We have a lot of different Padres news to get to today. We have some news on a potential managerial candidate that is floating out there for the San Diego Padres. We talked about this candidate last week about being a potential fit. His name is Albert Pujols. Well, today we got an update on that. Sounds like the Padres will interview Albert Pujols for the managerial job. That doesn't mean they're hiring him, but they plan to interview Albert Pujols for the Padres managerial job. Pujols, who retired as a player in 2022 after 22 seasons playing for the Cardinals, Angels, and Dodgers, has already interviewed with the Angels and will reportedly interview with the Orioles, and it sounds like he will also interview with the San Diego Padres. We saw that information come out in an article from Kevin Acee today. Now, we also got this other news. According to Mark Feinstein on X, quote, Albert Pujols will not be the Angels' next manager per source. The Orioles and the Padres remain interested in Pujols. John Heyman was on it, obviously getting previous credit there to John Heyman. That is some interesting managerial news and notes. And we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But I wanted to mention that to kind of start things off. We also will get to some things that were discussed on Ben and Woods. Eric Grupner joined Ben and Woods early this morning and talked about the offseason and Mike Schultz's retirement. Talked about where they're at in the managerial process. He talked about the article in The Athletic discussing his side of what was or what is the working relationship between him and A.J. Preller. Clears things up a little bit on what was said in the Athletic article. He was asked about the contract extension for A.J. Preller, if it's coming or not. He talked about the team's review process for the season and whether or not he sees payroll going up. That will all be discussed coming up in the next hour or so, as we got a lot of Padres things to talk about. We had a fun weekend in high school, college, and the NFL. I thought college football was an exciting weekend in football. I thought the high school games were fun. NFL yesterday, a lot of games came down to the wire. I mean, the Giants-Broncos game was a heck of a football game unless you're a Giants fan. Not a great football weekend if you're Frank Marchese, unfortunately, with Penn State and the Giants for different reasons. It was almost like that for me as well, watching TCU football try to play. But you know what? They got the win. That's all I care about. We're on to West Virginia. Now, I will say, yeah, exactly. The weather delays multiple times. I'm glad I didn't go to Texas this weekend. That would have been rough. I probably, with the weather delay, could have made the fourth quarter, Frank. I probably could have made the fourth quarter. I checked that. I probably would have been able to watch the entire second half of that game because of the lightning delays. Because by the time some of the delays started to come through, it was already the second half. Actually would have worked out, aside from the fact that they had multiple lightning delays in the fourth quarter, which means they're not selling booze anymore. So no more beer for those poor fans that had to sit through multiple weather delays. I would have left, absolutely, and watched the rest of the game at a bar.
You could thank NASCAR for those lightning delays, by the way.
Why is it NASCAR's fault?
Because there was a race that was called because of rain at Pocono, and a fan was struck by lightning on the way back to the parking lot. So after that, That's why we have lightning delays for lightning strikes within a radius of the sporting event.
20-mile radius, and every time there's a lightning strike within that 20 miles, it resets the clock every another 30 minutes. I've sat through multiple of those lightning delays, unfortunately. But anyway, enough about that. What really is the big picture story of the weekend, at least that pertains to San Diego, and what we're starting the show off with, is San Diego FC. San Diego FC won the West over the weekend. They won the Western Conference over the weekend. They win the Western Conference in their inaugural season. They defeated Portland and left no doubt, by the way. They won 4-0 at Providence Park on Saturday night. And with the win, they were able to secure the number 1 seed in the Western Conference for the upcoming MLS playoffs because FC Dallas took down Vancouver 2-1, which allowed San Diego to top the standings with a 19-9-6 record. San Diego FC wins the Western Conference. And here's the other thing, too. Now they get to advance to a Champions League tournament, which was big. That's something that Drake talked about with us on Friday to end the show, about how important that is, more so than just the number 1 seed. Now, with the number 1 seed, they get to wait the play-in game between Real Salt Lake and Portland, the team that they just beat 4-0. And how the playoffs work out, they got a best of 3 that involves goals and all that other fun stuff that we'll talk about here in a second. Amal Pellegrino and Andres Dreyer were the stars of the match over the weekend. They each scored 2 goals. Pellegrino, acquired in late August from the San Jose Earthquake for $300,000 in general allocation money, scored in the 26th and 63rd minute. Dreyer is the club's first ever goal scorer, added goals in the 47th and 49th minute, completing a dominant offensive display for San Diego FC. Dreyer assisted Pellegrino's opening goal, marking a strong partnership between the team's first and newest stars. Midfielder Jeppe Tverskov praised the team's performance, calling it, quote, a very mature and almost perfect game. The win on MLS Decision Day, the final day of the regular season when playoff positions are finalized. This victory capped a record-setting season for San Diego FC, in which they recently broke the MLS Expansion Club records for both wins and points in a debut season. The club now aims to become the first expansion team since the 1998 Chicago Fire to win the MLS Cup. Now, some playoff implications for San Diego FC. As the top seed, San Diego FC will host games 1 and 3 of their best of 3 first-round series, which is a major advantage as home teams have won nearly 70% of first-round matchups under the new format, which was introduced in 2023. San Diego FC will face the winner of the 8-9 play-in match between Portland and Real Salt Lake. Match times and TV details are set to be announced on Sunday, which was yesterday. I think we did get a notification from San Diego FC at least about some dates for these particular games, if I'm not mistaken.
Looking it up now. I might have missed it.
I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Here it is. Playoffs first round. Game 1 will be on October 26th at Snapdragon Stadium. So in 6 days, we will have the first game, which will be San Diego FC versus the winner of Portland and Real Salt Lake. That will be coming up on Sunday. That's a 6:30 start here at Snapdragon Stadium. Game 2 will be on November 1st, which will be the following Saturday. And that will be either in Portland or in Salt Lake, 2 places where San Diego FC has won this season. And then game 3, if necessary, will be on Sunday, November 9th at Snapdragon Stadium, and time will be determined, obviously, if that game is necessary or not. So that's a look at what's going on with San Diego FC. And again, a big congratulations to them for winning the Western Conference. Now, Coach Mike Ybarra praises players, staff, and supporters, emphasizing that the team's success reflects the hardworking, risk-taking, and creative spirit of San Diego's community. Quote, we wanted to be a reflection of the community. Really proud of these guys, really proud of the fans. And now we ask ourselves, what now? Because we're hungry for more. The coach's comments, obviously, highlighting both pride in the team's achievements and ambition for continued postseason success. FC Dallas's win over Vancouver proved pivotal for San Diego Dallas's player Kayak scored the go-ahead goal to secure the result, while Vancouver played nearly the entire match with 10 men after Matthias Laborda received a red card in the 11th minute. Good news for San Diego FC in that particular case. With that result finalized, San Diego FC officially clinched the top Western Conference seed, marking another milestone in the franchise inaugural season. Frank, if you're San Diego FC, and I'll ask you this question in a second, but overall, what did you think about their game against Portland over the weekend?
It was, as Yeppe mentioned, it was nearly perfect. It was an unbelievable match from start to finish. They were in control, as they have been all season long in most of these games, that they were completely and totally in control. Pellegrino gets the opening goal, and then immediately you're surfing over to see what Vancouver's doing against FC Dallas, and they're down 1-0. So it's like, okay, San Diego's doing their job. Dallas is helping you out, and all you need to do is win, and the LAFC match doesn't matter. And then, Dreyer puts up 2 goals within 3 or 4 minutes, which was perfect. And then you're looking over again, okay, tied 1-1, 4-0 Pellegrino again, and then just unbelievable that FC Dallas was able to go into Vancouver and win on the final day of the year. And that's also going to set up their 2-7 matchup as well, so they don't have to go too far for their playoff matchup coming up this week.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, obviously, it really helped out that Vancouver got a red card. I mean, that helps out big time.
Oh, massively.
Big time. So the game, somebody was asking, when's the Portland Real Salt Lake game? That is October 22nd, which would be 2 days.
That's on Wednesday.
That'll be Wednesday. Oh, my calendar's all jacked now. Wednesday at 7:30 will be Portland and Real Salt Lake. The winner will obviously take on San Diego FC. Other bracket matchups, all of them will be at some point between October 26th and October 29th, at least in the Western Conference. Minnesota will take on Seattle on October 27th at 6 o'clock to start their best of 3. That pairing is paired up with San Diego FC's pairing. So if San Diego FC would be able to advance to the conference semifinals, they would take on the winner of Minnesota and Seattle. Now, on the other side of the bracket, LAFC will be taking on Austin. That will be on October 29th at 7:30. And that particular best of 3 bracket is paired up with Vancouver and Dallas, with Dallas winning over the weekend and Portland losing. They flip-flopped, and so Dallas doesn't have to do the play-in game. Instead, now they get Vancouver on October 26th at 4:30. And that will be round 1 of the best of 3 in the Western Conference. On the Eastern side, if anybody cares, Chicago will play Orlando on October 22nd at 5:30. Winner will play Philadelphia. Charlotte and New York City will play on October 28th. Miami and Nashville will play on October 24th, and Cincinnati and Columbus will play on October 27th. Miami and Nashville are paired up with Cincinnati and Columbus. Charlotte and New York are paired up with Philadelphia and the play-in game. And that's a look at the MLS Cup playoffs. Again, as the playoffs progress, we'll talk more about San Diego FC. But I think overall, and here's the other question I was going to ask, and I'll answer it too. Overall, San Diego FC's first season, even if this doesn't work out in the first round, I know Drake Hill said successful season if you make it to the conference semifinals. I think this season has been very historic. I think it's been very successful. When you're a team that wants to come in and you're in a brand new area and you're an expansion team and a new league in the market, you got to start off strong by having a good year. And I think San Diego FC did that this year. But how would you evaluate the first season of San Diego FC?
A resounding success from all aspects. The way they created an exciting brand of football to go and watch. Unbelievable start to their franchise's history. Now, I had said it kind of in passing, but what does San Diego FC need to do to kind of draw eyes away from the Padres when they're here to really stake a claim that, yeah, we're going to be something that you can go to here in San Diego, especially if the Padres aren't in town. There were nights late in the season where you were drawing 45,000 at Petco and about 30 to 35,000 at Snapdragon, with both teams playing at the same city. That is unbelievable, and that is a testament to what San Diego FC has done this year. There is nothing worse for an expansion franchise than dropping a dud in your first year. That will kill any form of momentum that you think you may have had. Deader than dead. What San Diego FC managed to do this year, not just winning the conference, forget about winning the conference, but playing exciting, winning soccer. Unbelievably crucial to the success of this franchise long term. So it goes beyond, of course, winning a championship is the ultimate goal, but they set themselves up for so much long-term success and so much more long-term interest in this team, in this league, by doing what they did this year. And I think, honestly, that outweighs a first-year championship, to me at least.
I think it's a testament of San Diego too, and what San Diego is as a sports city, where you can support multiple entities at once.
Yep.
And we have the capability of doing so when they compete against each other, obviously at the same time, in the middle of the Major League Baseball season, in the middle of the MLS season. It shows again that San Diego can support multiple franchises in professional sports. The claim that they can't go to games, everything like that. If you try to win and you invest in the city, this city will support you.
Mm-hmm.
The teams that left did not invest in their team. They did not invest in the resources of their organization. They did not invest in their own stadiums. They did not invest in anything. They just wanted people to show up and give them money, and they did not believe in the city. Those teams did not survive. Now, way back in the day with like the Rockets in town, like the NBA, I mean, to me, and the biggest argument I hear is like, well, they used to have the NBA and like that never worked twice. It's like the city of San Diego, when the Rockets and the Clippers were here, is a drastically different city than it is now. It is drastically different. I mean, when were they? Well, I don't even know when the Rockets were here. I mean, that was obviously way,
60s,
way before my time. The San Diego Rockets. I have to like look it up. I'm sure there's some old guard people in there that were like, oh yeah, I remember back in whatever.
71, they relocated. They were established here in 67, and then they relocated to Houston in 71.
What was the population of San Diego in 1971?
Or it'd be 67 would be their first year.
67 even.
Rockets only won. Speaking of contrasting your inaugural seasons, San Diego FC has won 19 matches, scored the most points in MLS history for an expansion franchise. The San Diego Rockets in 1967 won 15 games. Not a great way to draw attention.
They have the total population in terms of like San Diego County. In 1971, the entire county had 1.2 million people. The city of San Diego itself has 1.3 million people right now. The overall population of this county now is 3.3 million people. Yeah, we could support multiple. That's why I don't like. It was a small Navy town when they used to have teams. When we used to have the NBA teams here. Now it's not. And again, it shows that we can support major sports teams and franchises. When we come back, we got a Game 7 tonight, Frank. We'll recap what happened in the NLCS and the ALCS, get you ready for what will be half of a World Series, and who knows what it's going to be. Is it going to be Blue Jays, Dodgers? Is it going to be Mariners, Dodgers? We'll discuss when we come back. And the awful uniforms the Chargers wore yesterday. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. It's not over yet. Just getting started on a Monday. All guests on 97.3 The Fan can join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges, trust David P. Shapiro Criminal Defense Attorneys, helping clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. All right, let's talk some baseball. We had some playoff baseball over the weekend. NLCS, complete dud. Anybody surprised? I'm not surprised. We had this. Did we have this conversation on Friday about the payroll and stuff?
Yes, we did.
People are starting to wake up to it and understanding that the crock of bleep of, well, all your teams can do this is such BS. Yep, all of our teams can go out there and just spend numerous amounts of money and have it not count towards the salary cap because we can convince athletes to take less money. Anybody that thinks this is a great thing for baseball, that you're like, oh, it's great to have a villain. It's not great for baseball. And I'm telling you right now, people on social media are starting to get turned off by baseball. That's not great, Frank.
No.
That's not great.
Especially when you have Dave Roberts come out and say the quiet part out loud and kind of rub it in everyone's face at the end of game 4. That was fun.
Everything that, the Dave Roberts sound. Do you have that, by the way?
I can get it.
Go get that while we're, please grab that for me. You sent it to me over the weekend. I was sickened. They're arrogant about it, too. They know that they are the only team that could do this stuff. But it's not great for baseball. This is why there's going to be a massive lockout.
Got it.
And this is why nobody likes this team. I mean, and here's the thing. I find it funny when Dodger fans have to, try to defend all this stuff because they know it's bad for baseball. They know it's not fun. I mean, did you see the report, by the way, that the Dodgers want to go get Kyle Tucker this offseason?
Yes.
Do it. I'm almost rooting for it now. Let's just see how stupid we can make this sport. Here's what Dave Roberts said after the game, after they won over the weekend.
I'll tell you, before this season started, they said the Dodgers are ruining baseball. Let's get 4 more wins and really ruin baseball. Let's go.
Here's what they don't know that they're about to do. They're going to ruin baseball in a sense that people are going to stop watching, which means people are going to stop spending money, which means they're all going to lose money. That is the long-term deal. Because the money is coming because it's a popular sport and people like being entertained. It's a popular sport and people like to watch. That is what drives money. The reason why professional sports don't make a ton of money isn't because it's just sports. It's because people like watching them. If nobody watched baseball, they wouldn't be making the money that they're making. But that's the deal. It's not great for the sport. This is why the NFL is so great. The NFL is so much better than baseball because anybody can win any Sunday. And everybody's got a chance at a Super Bowl because everybody's playing with the same amount of money that are in the rules to build a roster. So you can look at teams like San Francisco. The San Francisco 49ers, for the last handful of years, decided to spend their money on offensive linemen and defensive linemen and in the trenches. And they're like, we're going to win like this and not spend a ton of money on a quarterback. And it was very successful. Have they won a Super Bowl? No, because you kind of need a quarterback to do that. But they're like, we can win with the game manager over having a really good quarterback with no O-line. The Cincinnati Bengals are a team that spends a ton of money on their quarterback and their wide receiving core. They could score a lot of points, but the problem is they lose money or they don't have the resources to spend on their offensive line, which means their offensive line is lower. There is some sort of Achilles heel for every team in the NFL across the board. And guess what? Market-wise, it gives everybody an opportunity because there's not these billion-dollar TV contracts. The system is a joke. But the problem with the system, it's made a lot of people money, both the owners and the players, for so long that they were like, why would we fix this? We don't really care. We're making tons of money. The system is totally broken. And it's more than just the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. They're doing exactly what they have the resources to do. They could go out there and buy every player that is the best at every position. They could flat out go out there and do it. Not every team could do that. The whole narrative of like everybody can do this is such a crock of bleep. Not everybody can do it. We pulled up those numbers already. How many teams did we find? Four? Four teams?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
I mean, maybe 3 teams, 4 teams that could take the amount of money that they get in revenue and put into their team. The Padres are already doing as much as they can do. They can't spend much more. They're spending what? What did we say? It was like 60%?
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it was like 61%.
I mean, the Padres are top 6 in spending most of their revenue on their major league team. When you look at that graphic that we had, again, according to Forbes, the Padres are spending 63.8% of their revenue on their players. Here's the thing. For everybody that says anybody can do this, if the Padres spent 100% of their revenue on payroll, 100%, they still wouldn't have enough money to buy the roster that the Dodgers have. In fact, they would be almost $100 million short. They would be more than $100 million short. They would be $116 million short if they spent all of their revenue on payroll. There's only a handful of teams that could do it. The New York Mets are already spending 90% of their payroll, 90% of the revenue on their payroll, but they don't care. They have they got an owner worth $13 billion. They're like the Texas Tech of Major League Baseball. They got a guy just writing blank checks. They're just spending it on the wrong things. But eventually the Dodgers can outbid everybody because they make so much more than everybody else. Again, it's not everybody can do this. That's like the dumbest thing. Yes, there's a problem with the small market teams not spending more percentage of their revenue on payroll. Absolutely. But to say that this is good for baseball is crazy to me. Have one dominant team. This is what makes leagues boring. This is what made the NBA boring to me for so long. It's gotten a lot better, but the NBA, it's like you knew exactly who was going to win before the season even happened. It's like, why even waste your time watching? So now you get to the ALCS, and it's going to be Seattle and Toronto. And the winner's going to take on the Dodgers. Toronto spends the third most on their payroll out of anybody in Major League Baseball in terms of their revenue. They spend 71.5% of their payroll, of their revenue on payroll. Seattle spends about 46.1%. But the thing is, the thing that makes it annoying for Dodger fans, like for people that have to do with Dodger fans, it's like the blaming of other teams thinking that all things are equal. Not every team makes the same amount of money. Not every team's got $1 billion regional TV contract. That's another thing that the NFL is great about. They all share the TV contracts. And all the money that people think is going to the pot disappears on the luxury tax when you make upgrades to your facilities, which came out last year that was one of the loopholes in Major League Baseball. So no surprise that they dominated the Milwaukee Brewers in the National League Championship Series. I mean, that series wasn't close at all. Brewers don't spend a lot of money. They don't have all these guys coming up. And when they do get players that they develop, guess who they get shipped off to? The big market teams. This is why baseball is so far behind compared to everybody else in sports. The NFL, to me, has got the most competitive salary cap. That's why a market like Kansas City can win Super Bowls. That's why a market like Green Bay can be successful every single year. I mean, look, that's why small markets can have NFL teams. They all split it. In baseball, it's about the haves and the have-nots, and that's always been the case, and it looks like it will always be the case, although a lot of the haves are now turning into have-nots with the payroll discrepancy with some of these other teams dealing with the Los Angeles Dodgers now outspending them. But you know what? It's good for baseball. Just ask any Dodger fan. I mean, eventually, wouldn't it get boring if you win all the time and you have all the best players? I mean, you're basically just a Globetrotter fan. I would get bored, but that's just me. ALCS. Can any of these teams take down the Dodgers? Either the Mariners or the Blue Jays? Well, we'll talk about what Game 7 is going to look like when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing as Number Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97 Through the Fan is presented by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. Toyota of Poway has been voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today with with APRs as low as 0% and tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event, happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotapoway.com in the heart of San Diego. So, there we are. Let's talk about the American League Championship Series. I mean, again, people talking about the money. It's not mathematically possible. You can't spend money you don't have. And a lot of these organizations, even if they need to spend probably more. But even if they did spend more, it wouldn't be enough. I mentioned already, the Padres allegedly, reportedly, we don't know the books, so we don't know exactly for sure. But according to the guesstimation from Forbes, made $432 in revenue, which is not profit, by the way. They still have expenses. It does cost a lot of money to run a Major League Baseball team. If they took all of their revenue and put in their payroll, which would be catastrophically bad, that'd be a good way to lose a ton of money. They would still be way off. They would be $117 million behind the Los Angeles Dodgers in terms of money. And that's a group or a team that is spending a lot of money. And people in the chat are like, "Well, you got to get an owner that can spend that kind of money." No, if the solution to the problem is finding people that are richer to buy your team, which I don't know, costs a ton of money, and then just throwing all their money like a charity to the city that they are currently having the team in, that is not a recipe for success. And no, you're not going to, those people don't exist. You know what makes people rich, Frank? They don't just give away money. They keep it.
Yeah. JH619 in the chat has the answer. Just get a richer owner.
Get a richer owner. Well, that worked out for the Mets, right?
Get a richer
That's
owner.
That's worked out for the Mets, has it not?
We didn't get a richer owner. We got the richest owner.
The richest guy. Everybody's like, sell to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
or
just do it, forehead.
Or yeah, let's get, Jeff Bezos to buy our team. And let's ask Jeff Bezos just to write blank checks for players so we can win. No. Every other professional league has it figured out. The one that doesn't is the one that's been the greediest. And they're going to put themselves in a position where they're not making as much money. I'm just glad the ownership group here in San Diego spends as much as they do. I mean, honestly, like you look at the spending percentages, Frank, the Padres being top 6 in percentage of revenue spending, you really can't complain about that.
Nope.
We'll take it. I mean, absolutely, we'll take it. We'll take it. I think they've been more than fair, and they've put money in the team, and people show up. It's amazing what happens. To go back to square one of this show of how San Diego supports professional teams, you invest in your team, then we will support you. But the reality is, it's not a fair competitive deal. You need a salary floor and a salary cap. Even if you put in a salary floor, it's not doing anything. If you just put in a salary cap, it's not doing anything. You need both. You physically need both. And the difference is, and somebody was like, well, that's like complaining about a guy that makes a lot of more money living in Coronado and has a better life than me. You're not directly competing against him for something. That's a different deal. This is a competitive league. This is a competitive business. It's about competing. And therefore, everybody needs to be able to play by the same rules. Otherwise, it's not a competitive league. That's the whole point of this deal. That's why there's rules for things. But again, as somebody has alluded to in the chat, how do you get small market teams and their fans to be locked into the sport if they already know they're not going to win? I mean, let me ask you this question, Frank. If you know your team is not going to win, is not going to be good, are you going to watch every one of their games?
It's not even not going to win. It's not even have a chance.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I don't care.
Like, how locked in are you to the New York Giants this year?
A little bit more since Dart and Scatterboo started, but yesterday didn't bother me. Like, I had people joking around, like asking are you okay after the loss? I'm like, yeah. Like, it's actually quite liberating when you're not living and dying with your NFL team every single Sunday.
I'll tell you this, like, the Padres spend the money and they have a competitive chance. They've paid enough money where their team is competitive enough where, you know, they might not have the same talent as and it's really just the Dodgers. They're the only real problem. I mean, all the other teams are relatively competitive near the top. It's like LA with the amount of money they spend, and then it's like a group of like a couple of most of the teams in the playoffs, and then a bunch of crap, and then everybody else in Major League Baseball. But like, if the Padres were part of the ones that were underneath the bunch of crap, like why would you ever go watch Pirates games if you were a Pirates fan?
Never.
Why would you ever care? Like, are you spending money to go watch them play?
No.
I'm spending money to go drink and watch baseball and probably watch the other team play. No. I don't care. I don't care what they do. I don't care what you're not into it.
And again, this is
how is that good for baseball?
And again, this is not us crying, oh, the Padres are a poverty franchise. We're not saying that. We're taking this from the side of the Marlins, the Pirates, the Rockies, the teams that cannot spend as much money as the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Mets. That's the side we're on here. We're saying, yes, there needs to be a salary cap, but also there needs to be a salary floor in order for things to work. We're not coming at this from, oh, we're Padre fans, we just hate the Dodgers having success. No, that's not where we're coming from this.
I am a little worried about like the state of the league and the league becoming irrelevant just as much as I care about college football. And that is also the same thing. College football is the same deal. I mean, the haves and the have-nots are taking over with money, and it's a different level.
And it's getting worse. Because they're trying to catch up. So it's getting worse faster because they're trying to catch up to where they perceive everyone else is.
If you want to this is the entire point of this conversation. Ignore the fact that I'd be bitching about this if it was the Blue Jays. If you want a competitive league, and that's what I want. Like in sports, I don't care how much money the players make. I really don't. In the grand scheme of things, the society, having your athletes and entertainers make more money than people that contribute a lot to society is a different conversation for a different day. But I will say this, you are what somebody's willing to pay for. And people are willing to spend a lot of money on entertainment, which means these guys are going to make a ton of money. And that's fine. And that's fair. And if you're one of the best in the league, you're going to get paid some of the best. Now, I like sports that are competitive. I dislike sports that have one team that's really good. I would rather watch a bunch of teams that are above average dueling it out than one great team and then everybody else is just getting their brains smashed in. I just, that to me is not entertaining and it's not fun. For some people it is, Frank. Like for a lot of casuals, watching one team dominate is fun for them. It's not for me. I like to see leagues like the NFL where it is highly competitive and teams are battling it out and everybody's got a chance at the postseason unless something catastrophically bad happens, which most of the time in the NFL is injuries. Same thing with hockey, right? Like hockey's got a competitive salary cap and salary floor. The NBA's got workarounds to it, so they're kind of like more like Major League Baseball. But the strategy in seeing teams and organizations have to sacrifice a position in order to spend money in another position and letting the teams find different ways to be competitive, to me, is more fun to watch. But again, like, it's not just them. In college football, it's the same thing. Watching the SEC and Big Ten just basically become having way more resources than everybody else and cared about a lot more is also not great for college football.
Again, just saw it in the chat again. Imagine crying about a team that has won 2 World Series in the last 30 years, and one of which you say doesn't count.
That's not what we're saying.
Exactly.
That is looking at the tree and not the forest.
Braden literally just said, if it were the Blue Jays, we'd be having the same conversation. Replace any team with the Dodgers, it would be the same exact conversation. It's not just the fact that it's the Dodgers. It's the fact that this is a baseball issue. It's not a Dodger issue. It is a baseball issue.
It could be any of those teams. You know what? Everybody complained about this with the Yankees in the 90s.
Yes.
It was the Yankees. Everybody hates the Yankees. I mean, like, if we just made this about the Yankees, Dodger fans would be jumping all over too. It's not fair. It's not fair. Whatever the team is, it's not great for a sport to have one team that can outspend everybody else and get all the best players. If all the best players are on one team, nobody likes it. I have to listen to all you people talk about that with Cathedral every single day. I do. It's all the same people. All these Dodger fans are like, "Oh, it's not fair. Cathedral is a private school." And I was like, it's the same thing. But all of a sudden, you're a Dodgers fan. It's like, "Oh no, we like this." Hey, everybody being on every good player being on one team is not great for said sport. It doesn't make it competitive. That's the point of the conversation.
Padres diehard, do you see me jumping for joy with that? Do you see me flaunting that in everyone's face, that the Mets have the richest owner and have the highest payroll? No, you don't. I haven't said it once.
No, it's not good for the sport. The sport is way better when it's highly competitive and everybody's playing by the same rules. That's all anybody's saying. If the Dodgers sweep the Blue Jays / the Mariners, it's going to be like, you're going to be like, all right, all you're going to do is make more fans check out and go like, why am I watching this? That is the issue. And the only reason why Dodger fans like this is because their team's doing it. If another team was doing it, it wasn't the Dodgers, guess who would be bitching the most? The Dodgers. Want to know why? Because they did it about the Astros and the trash cans. They complained about that. They still complain about that.
It's not even that. Have you watched a Dodger broadcasted game?
Oh, man.
Those broadcasts are run by people that know nothing about baseball for people that don't want to learn anything about baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And again, the Dodgers aren't doing anything that's not against the rules. The system is ridiculous. That's the part of the conversation. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we get back, we'll actually talk about this Mariners and Blue Jays series, or final Game 7. We will also dive into some news about the new Padres news in the Padres managerial search, plus what Eric Krupner said on the morning show, all in the next hour. Braden Surprenant Show, San Antonio Sports Station, 970 The Fan. Tony Gwynn. All guests on 97 The Fan join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. Facing criminal charges, trust David P. Shapiro criminal defense attorneys, helping clients regain control since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Again, people aren't listening. But you know what? That's very expected, especially Dodger fans. This is about Major League Baseball as a whole. This is not a Padres problem. The Padres can compete with the Dodgers. They do it every year. They spend enough money on payroll where they can go toe-to-toe, and in a sport like baseball, things can happen. It's about the sport as a whole. If you only have a handful of teams that are competitive every year and everybody else is just a farm team, how do you grow the sport? But you know what? If they don't care about that, then I don't want to hear Major League Baseball bitch and moan about how young people don't watch their sport. You know, Frank, like the whole attitude of like, how do people watch our sport? Why don't more people watch our sport? Like, we're important. We're baseball. Well, I don't know. Maybe you fix this massive problem. You make everything competitive. Like, we don't want to do that, though. All right, well, then don't complain.
Exactly right.
Then don't complain. But with people in, like, Major League Baseball, like, trying to find ways to make people watch, and you know it matters to them because they decided to eliminate a lot of things that people found boring, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They had to put in a pitch clock because people didn't want to watch their sport that long. They had to do a 3-batter minimum. They had to do all of it and eliminate the shift. They're putting in all these rules to get people to watch, but they're not addressing the problem of having one team have all the talent. And that's where a lot of other teams that also spend tons of money are upset about this, the way this thing plays out. But again, like, go ahead, Major League Baseball. Continue to go down this path and continue to complain why people don't watch your sport. That's the point of this conversation. The NFL is not like that. The NFL is king. The NFL, every single game in the National Football League. I was just explaining this to my friend. I said the best time to watch the NFL, the best time, if you have red zone, like this is the best part of Sunday with the NFL, is Sunday at like 12:30 Pacific time. When all the now the NFL's got their own problems too, like playing all of the games in the morning is kind of ridiculous. But when you're watching at 12:30, all the morning games in the fourth quarter are coming down to the wire. There's a couple of blowouts mixed in, not a lot. Most of the time it is games coming down to the wire. I don't want to keep bringing up the Giants game from yesterday. I don't want to upset Frank, but the reality is
I don't care.
That was a game. So yeah, he doesn't care because, he knows his team's not very good, as we discovered here.
And again, also can't stay in the NFL.
But what's good about the NFL, our games are coming down to the wire. And the final possessions matter. Now, some of the scores get out of hand, and it happens. You get a bad day out of some teams. But the games come down to the wire. You got a team like the Vikings who have Carson Wentz at quarterback, losing by 6 to the Eagles. Panthers and Jets are lousy. Panthers win by 7. Broncos and Giants coming down to the wire. Cardinals and Packers. Cardinals have no business competing with the Packers. Packers had to win it late. I mean, you will see that every single week, situations like that. The Bengals, who couldn't score to save their life, who had Joe Flacco at quarterback, go out and beat the Steelers. Some of that's football. Some of it's the fact that the talent is spread out and you got a lot of pros all over the place and it's balanced and it's fun and it's fun to watch. In Major League Baseball, you don't get that. The sport of baseball gives you every once in a while, but again, a random day in June, nobody really cares. You want to fix baseball? Put in a cap and a floor. Make teams that are greedy and steal money from the revenue sharing and not put it in their roster have to spend, and make teams that have already got massive advantages with local TV contracts have a limit on what they can spend on. It's a simple fix. They won't fix it because both sides are greedy, and we're going to get into a situation where we're not even playing baseball in 2027. And you know what? It would be their own doing. Again, this is the conversation that's this is happening right now. People are not listening. This is not like upset that the Dodgers in the World Series. This doesn't look like it's going to be great for Major League Baseball if this continues. Let me ask you this, Frank. Is it better for baseball if the World Series goes 7 games or goes 4 games and they're not competitive?
7.
7. This American League Championship Series is competitive. Both teams relatively the same. Is it better or worse for baseball if the NLCS goes 4 games?
Worse.
It's worse. Maybe the season is too long. That's a good point, Pete. It is kind of long. You make a lot of money in the regular season, though. Don't make as much money in the playoffs. They have to split it and all this other stuff. Players don't really get paid in the playoffs except for a couple bonuses, but not a lot. I don't know. Why don't you make the playoffs more lucrative? I think that would be an idea. That was always the against the college football playoff expanding was like, we can't, I don't know how to make money on this. What do you mean how to make money on this? What do you mean like regular season games make money? Come on.
And by the way, as far as not having a season in 2027, I believe that's a very, very real possibility that we are going to be full on COVID shows again. We're going to be doing an MLB The Show 27 season.
Stop putting that into existence, even though I think that's more likely than us. But we're not starting on time. I will tell you that.
Look at the NHL. The NHL missed an entire season, missed the entire 2004-2005 season. They are still trying to gain popularity back. That was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they still have not recovered from that lockout.
This
is of their own doing. This is of baseball's own doing. They're doing it to themselves, and they will have earned it.
And that's the thing. We're worried about the state of baseball because we like watching Padres baseball. We like enjoying. We like the whole 162. We like the competitive. I mean, we like baseball. But as baseball fans, you have to address that this is not great for baseball. I don't know how anybody would do it. And the whole arrogance from Dave Roberts also about like, we're ruining baseball. This is great. Well, you know what? It's not great. Yeah. Jordy in the chat goes, how does the salary cap affect the players? I'm seeing on X that Players Association would likely vote against the cap because it would limit how much players will make. Is that true? Technically. I mean, right. If they have a limited amount, the Players Association argues that if there is a cap, therefore, these teams will be less inclined to pay my player more money, like money we think he deserves, because they're trying to make a team competitive. And therefore, it will only limit how many teams are available for that guy's services. Yeah, I guess. But like, you're playing professional baseball. You're going to be making a lot of money. Add the cap, add the floor. Make teams have to spend. The NFL has figured it out. And the NHL has figured it out. And the NBA, kind of, has figured it out. There's a lot. These teams, they figure it out. They make a lot of money in a lot of other leagues. The whole, it's just a terrible narrative. And again, the players at the top of the Players Association, they will continue to be like, well, this is unfair to the young guys. No, it's not. They don't care about themselves. Let's not pretend that like Juan Soto is upset about a salary cap because he's worried about, a rookie on the team. He wants to make $70 to $80 million a year. And that would not be the case with the salary cap because they wouldn't be able to afford anything else. But here's the thing with the cap. I don't care what the cap is. It could be whatever. It would be whatever. I don't care what the cap is. They could make the cap $1 billion for all I care. I don't really care. Just put in a cap and a floor and make them have the same rules. And if teams decide not to pay to the cap, that's on them. I don't care what the cap is. You can extend the cap every year. The NFL does that. Do they not, Frank?
Mm-hmm.
They do that every year.
NHL
they continue to increase the cap. Seems fair to me. Make the cap whatever it needs to make so the top player can make the $70, $80 million a year. I mean, they have a cap in the NFL, and guess who's still making $40 million a year? Patrick Mahomes. If anything, with the NFL being the most popular sport, Patrick Mahomes is getting ripped off more than any baseball player. If I'm Patrick Mahomes, we're like, I'm making $40 million a year. I don't even know what it is now. He's probably making like 60 to 70. But anyway, he's making the amount of money. Who should be getting paid more in the grand scheme of things? Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback on relatively the best team of the last 5 or 6, 7 years in the most popular sport in America, or Juan Soto? Who should be making more money every year? Let me ask that question.
Mahomes.
It's Mahomes. He's not. Juan Soto's making more money than he is. Who should be making more money? I mean, if anybody has a problem, it's the NFL. The NFL looks around like, what? These guys are like making how much money on the bench? Increase the cap every year. I'm not trying to limit how much players make. I think that's a weak argument by the Players Association. Like, well, it's going to limit how much our guys make. I mean, what is the difference? I mean, at the end of the day, when you start thinking about it from a human standpoint, what is the difference between your lifestyle at $50 million a year and $60 million a year? What's the difference? What's your life difference?
Nothing much.
I know people don't like to bring up that conversation, but like it's come to a level now with money. It's like, what is changing in their lifestyle between $50 to $60 million a year? I know it's an extra $10 million. What is one person doing with that? Is that an extra generation of wealth? It falls on deaf ears with the players, like what the Players Association argument is. This is a league to be competitive.
And I think you can also see how serious the Players Association is about this.
Mm-hmm.
When you have guys like Kyle Tucker who have big money contracts that are opting out, Pete Alonso opting out, Alex Bregman opting out, they want to secure that long-term big money deal before their fight begins for the implementation of a salary cap, because once you have it, they can't take it away. So it's going to go on players who haven't signed contracts yet for to work within the salary cap. So they want that money. They want it now, which I have a feeling is why you're seeing a lot of these big name players. Like we were so surprised that Alex Bregman. Well, you were so surprised.
I was shocked because
that Alex Bregman.
That's a stupid amount of money to give up for a player that, like, should Alex Bregman be making more money than Patrick Mahomes?
But do you also want to go into a new salary cap era without that big contract? No, you don't. So you want to get that big long-term deal locked down. So this way you're not affected by the implementation of the salary cap.
Here's the other thing. Major League Baseball contracts are fully guaranteed.
Yes.
They're fully guaranteed. Let me ask everybody that like wants to fight for their players right here. They always talk about all the good players, but like it's fully guaranteed. If Major League Baseball had contracts like the NFL, the Padres could have cut Eric Hosmer and not had to pay him. You in favor of that? Oh, all of a sudden you might be in favor of that. Oh, we don't like Eric Hosmer. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we'd have eat the money.
Xander.
They could have cut Xander. And only had to pay like whatever it is. They could have cut Xander and not have to pay him the fully guaranteed money. How about that? That's another person that like people don't like. It's like, well, we're worried about like the ones that we really do like. We want them to make a lot of money. We don't want guys like Eric Hosmer to make money. I'm just taking about the grand scheme of things to make things competitive. This is what you have to do. But like, yeah, I agree. It falls on deaf ears, and people get mad at me when I don't support the players fully, and I don't support either side. I think they're both greedy, and I don't like having these conversations because it's a waste of my time. All I know is they're just gonna duel it out. But the reality is, and somebody put in the chat, people acting like supporting players in this fight is like supporting blue-collar labor unions. They're still guys with exorbitant amount of wealth. It is. Everybody in baseball is making in the top 1% to 4% of earners in the United States. Even the guys making the league minimum are in the top 1% of earners in the United States. That's why it falls on deaf ears for a lot of fans, where it's like, all right, like your biggest qualm with a salary cap is Juan Soto can't make $70 million. He has to make $40 million.
We're not on the players' side.
I'm not on anybody's side.
We're not on the owner's side. We're on our side.
I'm on Major League Baseball and the sport as itself.
That's our side.
That is the problem. And here's the thing. We talk about the problems that the Dodgers have here as like this is ridiculous because we know that eventually people aren't going to tolerate it in Major League Baseball, and then we're going to lead to this lockout and then this entire conversation. That team doing what they've done, which is not illegal, is going to lead to rule changes that are going to lead to lockouts, which is going to lead to people being disinterested in baseball, not us diehards like you in the chat, but the casuals that is going to lead to the sport regressing. It's all intertwined. And if anybody is actually listening to what we're saying, that's what it is. I think we've gotten that across. Again, this is not well, they're the Dodgers, we're going to complain about it. If it's any team in baseball, we complain about it. And to be honest with you, as much as I would love to see the Padres win multiple World Series in a row and have all the best players on the team, I would be addressing the fact that it wouldn't be great for baseball if they were the only team doing it. I would. I'd get a couple World Series out of it first before I started bitching about it. But you know what? I would. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. And I agree. There should be a salary floor too. Floor, ceiling. Make the contracts guaranteed. The players will be fine. The players will be fine. They're going to bitch, argue, and complain about it as much as they can. But you're going to have to start, the owners are going to have to start finding out ways to compensate them on other deals. And again, the signing bonuses don't count towards the cap, correct? In the NFL? I'm pretty sure they don't.
I don't believe so.
And if they do, it's a small percentage. You'll start seeing teams throw out a bunch of money in signing bonuses. But at least everybody will be playing by the same rules. All right, we'll talk about the American League Championship
Google heard
Series.
us. Apparently, according to Google AI, so take that for what it's worth. Yes, NFL signing bonuses count against the salary cap, but they are prorated or spread out over the length of the contract, typically up to 5 seasons. This means the total cap hit for the signing bonus is divided evenly across the contract's lifetime.
That's why when guys renegotiate their contracts, they get more guaranteed money mixed in, and they also get more bonuses, so it knocks it off the cap, and then they still get the money that they get paid. Put those in. I don't care. Make it competitive. American League Championship Game 7 tonight. We'll talk about it when we come back. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL and CBS and Paramount Plus. Stream your local NFL game live every Sunday, all season long, starting at just $30 for the first year. That's like $250 a month. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. I mean, like, a guy like Shohei Ohtani should be making like $70 million a year. He doesn't towards the cap, but he does in general. Like Patrick Mahomes making $70 million a year makes sense. He's making $50 million a year, at least in cash. He's a $78 million cap hit next year for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's, before they decide to probably rework it. But in terms of cash, he's making $50 million. To me, the athlete at least should be like, we're talking about the salary caps and stuff. What professional athlete in the United States should be making the most money, Frank? Is it Patrick Mahomes? To me, the best quarterback in the most popular the most popular league should be having the most money, which means the most important position in the NFL, quarterback, should be getting the most money. The best of that group should be getting the most money. Is that Patrick Mahomes? I think relatively in the grand scheme of things, it probably is.
So either him or Josh Allen or
right. He's getting $50 million. I mean, Juan Soto is getting, what is he getting, like $70 million? Something crazy?
No, it's not that much.
Oh, he's getting about 50.
It's 51, and then if the Mets buy out his buyout, it'll be 54 a year.
All right, so like the NFL is different. They rework contracts, everything like that. I like the way that they do things. It's great. It makes everything so competitive.
AC in the chat.
Again, a guy that's not paying attention, dude.
Not
paying attention. Not
to
listening.
A word we've said over the last hour.
Not listening. Thank you for not listening. I can't even say thank you for listening. He's hearing, but he's not listening to anything we're saying. Don't be dull. Don't be a windsock. Listen to what we actually have to say. All right. Let's talk about the ALCS tonight, Frank. American League Championship Series. 6 tense games between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. The ALCS comes down to a winner-take-all Game 7 in Toronto. Matchup dripping with history and pressure for two franchises that have long lived on baseball's emotional edge. Blue Jays are chasing their first World Series appearance since 1993. Mariners are chasing their first World Series appearance ever. Both teams have been pushed to the brink, but for entirely different reasons. Toronto's rotation and defense have carried them to this point. Seattle, built on pitching strength, has been betrayed by it, forcing them to scrap and claw with their bullpen and lineup just to extend the series. Crowd at the Rogers Center will be electric, and both managers know every arm and bat could come into play tonight. All right, let's talk about this a little bit. What is your overall reaction, or should I say preview, of the American League Championship Series, Seattle and Toronto?
I mean, if you look at the final scores, they don't tell you the story of this series. There's only been one close game, and that was Game 1. But if you look at the intensity that you have seen throughout this series, oh my goodness, this has been an unbelievably good series to watch. George Kirby going tonight for Seattle, Shane Bieber for Toronto. This is going to be a very, very good game. And I think Toronto is going to be 100% up for it. The city, I mean. And you would want the sentimental favorite, I think, is Seattle. They really went for it. This trade deadline, again, as you mentioned, this will be their first trip to the World Series. But either way, this is going to be a good game here tonight, no matter who you're rooting for.
Seattle's starting pitching has been a problem, surprisingly, because they got guys like Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller's been the lone bright spot out of the rotation. 2 strong outings in the postseason. George Kirby, 18 ERA. Luis Castillo, 11.57 ERA. Logan Gilbert, 7.71 ERA. Mariners' big 4 haven't lived up to the billing, and Kirby now gets the ball again on short rest mentally and emotionally after a disastrous earlier start. So he's got to be able to bounce back. Expect a quick hook tonight, I would imagine, for the Seattle pitching staff. Castillo, Miller, Wu, all likely to be available out of the pen, according to MLB.com. That's how things lay out for the rotation for the Seattle Mariners. Now, bullpen depth. Seattle's relief corps, Andres Munoz, Matt Brash, Ryan Stanek have been heavily taxed, but they will have everyone available. Don't be surprised if Andres Munoz is used for multiple innings. He's been Seattle's most trustworthy.
Ryan Stanek.
No, that's not right.
Yeah, no, Stanek's a Met.
Yeah, I was going to say. Andres Munoz, though, for sure. Don't be surprised if Munoz is used for multiple innings. He's been Seattle's most trustworthy late-game weapon. Julio Rodriguez having several big moments this postseason, showing why he's the face of the franchise. Cal Raleigh continuing his power from earlier this year. Mariners are trying to shake decades of frustration. Only franchise in MLB history to never reach a World Series. A win tonight changes the perception of the entire organization. I think I might agree with that. As for the Blue Jays, anybody talking about the Vlad Guerrero Jr. postseason he's had?
He's been unbelievable.
He's been great.
He's been worth the contract he got.
Massive extension for the season, set the tone for 2025. He's delivered. Already had a couple of defining hits this series. Had some defining hits against the Yankees, too. If he adds one more tonight, he cements his place as maybe the new face of this new Blue Jays era. George Springer, done a great job as well. It's a tough place to play in the Rogers Center. How do you think the Mariners navigated with their pitching staff tonight?
I think they'll be fine because again, before last night, before Game 5, the road team had won every single game in this series, and Seattle had outscored Toronto 13-4 in games 1 and 2. So I think they're going to be fine. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere no matter where they go. But I don't see Seattle playing too much into Toronto being a crazy crowd. I think they'll be just fine. Last night was another case of close game until the end.
Hasn't the road team won most of these games anyway?
Road team won the first 4.
Yeah.
Home teams won the last 2.
I like the Mariners in this game tonight.
It was road, sweet road.
I want the Mariners to win this game. Even though if the Blue Jays win, it guarantees that a top payroll would win the World Series, which goes back to the point that you have to spend money if you want to win in Major League Baseball. A lot of people don't want to say that.
Kind of going along with what JH619 in the chat just said. I want Cal Raleigh going off tonight, the true American League MVP.
True.
I think knowing the way baseball works and the way baseball writers work, if they don't make the World Series, I think Aaron Judge gets the MVP, which is a crime.
Cal Raleigh should win the MVP.
1,000,000%. Cal Raleigh is the American League MVP.
He is. He's the Braden Surprenant Show's American League MVP.
Period. Stop. He is the MVP.
What he could do behind the plate, having to take time to be able to do that. Not only that, but also being able to hit at the level he does, be able to be a catcher behind the dish. I mean, he does it all. And for a team that's never been to the World Series and a team that, has
as a switch hitter too.
Right.
Switch hitting catcher doing all this.
We already remember when Profar was kind of going through a little bit of a struggle last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was.
And it was mean the entire second half of the year.
And it was like righty and lefty. He's got to work on everything on the right side and everything on the left side. It's why they even have the conversation like this is why players don't try to switch hit as much anymore. Because for everything you do from the right side, you have to do from the left side. Well, Cal Raleigh has to do that from right and left. And by the way, misses time all the time hitting to catch
manage a pitching
bullpens
staff.
And manage a pitching staff. Okay, does anybody listen? Voting ends we know this. We say for the regular season, Cal Raleigh should win the MVP. Nobody listens. All right, we'll move on.
Brother, sarcasm and irony is so dead.
God, I cannot. Sometimes I can't. Padres have an update, or not really an update, but we have an update on the managerial search for the San Diego Padres. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. This hour on 97 to the Fans brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today, with APRS as low as 0%. And tons of new Toyotas on the ground, no tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotaofpoway.com in the heart of San Diego. We talked about the ALCS, we talked about what was the NLCS, and we talked about San Diego FC winning the Western Conference. Let's dive into what everybody wants to hear. And that's obviously the latest update on the Padres. Now, it'll be two-part. What? Are you okay? Did some soccer team give up a goal or something?
No. Hold on. Hold on.
I don't even know why Frank had his hands,
Yeah,
his
it
head
is.
and his hands.
It is the official account of, okay. The El Paso Chihuahuas 37 minutes ago. Who are the El Paso Chihuahuas, the minor league affiliate of?
AAA, the Padres.
Posted big congrats to former Chihuahua Blake Snell, headed to the World Series.
I mean, he kind of is a kind of a former Chihuahua. Is he not?
I mean, okay. When did the Dodgers win? That was what, Friday, right?
Huh?
When did the Dodgers shut them down? Was that Friday?
Or
was it Friday or Saturday?
I think it was Friday. There were no MLB games on Saturday. I think it was Friday.
You posted that 3 days after the day they actually clinched him.
I don't know. I don't run it wasn't my week to run the El Paso Chihuahuas social media account.
It took you 3 days to congratulate a Dodger.
Yeah.
The Padres AAA affiliate. Congratulations.
I don't know why people thought that rejoin music was bad. Anyway, let's get back to it. All right, let's talk about the latest update we have on the San Diego Padres in terms of their managerial search. Now, a couple of things with Albert Pujols here. That is the only name we've seen, right, from the Padres?
That is officially being offered an interview? Yes, I believe so.
Yes, or at least conversations or reports about conversations and everything like that.
We've seen candidates' names, potential names, but we have not seen anyone that has had an official interview except for Pujols.
Here's the report from Kevin Acee, and then we're going to get into the other reports that we have seen from social media involving Albert Pujols and other teams. Now, as Kevin Acee put out in an article today, one of the game's biggest names is among the candidates the Padres will interview for their vacant manager position. Team will meet with future Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. Sources said as they seek to replace Mike Schilt, who announced his retirement last week, it is not known when the interview of Pujols will take place. At least this is in the article. I don't know if there's been any reports or tweets about that since. Pujols retired as a player in 2022 after 22 seasons playing for the Cardinals, Angels, and Dodgers. Has already interviewed with the Angels and reportedly will interview with the Orioles. 11-time All-Star, 703 career home runs, fourth most in history, has never managed in the major leagues. That scares a lot of people. He managed Leones de Escondido to the Dominican Winter League and Caribbean Series titles earlier this year. So he has managerial experience to an extent. Pujols is scheduled to be the manager for the Dominican Republic in the WBC in March, though that would change if he is hired by a major league team. While Pujols is short on managerial experience, his resume as a player and the respect current players have for him is part of what has drawn the Padres and other teams to vet him as a potential manager. Some of the organization have voiced the opinion that the Padres need to have more of a collective killer instinct and that getting more consistency out of some star players could help achieve that. Padres are also expected to interview pitching coach Ruben Niebla. The team has reportedly shown interest in Nick Hundley, who played catcher for them from 2008 to 2014 at the start of the 12-year MLB career. Now, those are the names that we have with the Padres. We did know that Nick Hundley was interviewing for the Giants job, but it happened over the weekend, reported that the Giants were close to signing Tony Vitello to potentially be their head coach, manager. He's a head coach in college. He's a manager in Major League Baseball. That's an interesting one, too. Vitello is getting paid a ton of money to be the head coach at Tennessee. In fact, making more money than most organizations pay their manager at the big league level.
It's almost like we have that on Sports Thread.
We'll talk more about that in a second. According to reports from Alden Gonzalez, the Padres will interview Albert Pujols on Wednesday. So we'll see how that goes. So it sounds like they're going to interview Ruben Niebla. They've shown interest in Nick Hundley, and they're going to interview Albert Pujols on Wednesday. We talked a lot about Albert Pujols last week. I think that's a great idea. I think, and again, I'll reiterate this because we talked about it last week. I think when you have the player resume... Now, here's the thing. As I get sidetracked by another thought that just popped in my head. I will start this by saying, just because you're a good player doesn't make you a great coach. Just because you're a great player doesn't make you a great coach. A lot of the times there is some disconnect on coaching when you are such a great player because you could physically do things that other humans can't do, and it becomes frustrating when you're trying to coach a human that cannot do the things that you would do. That happens a lot. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case as a manager of an MLB team, but I understand where that is a caveat to this situation. That being said, I think the resume that Albert Pujols has vets him as a manager. I don't care that he doesn't have any MLB, Major League Baseball experience. I don't care. All I care about was the stars of the team playing at their highest level and respecting the guy that leads that clubhouse as much as a guy like Albert Pujols would. I agree with what a lot of people in the organization, or should I say some, as reported by Kevin Acee, in the Padres need to have more of a collective killer instinct. I think having a guy that has achieved what Albert Pujols has achieved and what was going through the Cardinal way during the heyday of the Cardinal way, and potentially maybe bringing in Yadier Molina to help out. Now, there's no report on that, but we do know that Yadier Molina put on his Instagram account that he was interested in joining and getting back in the dugout, right? And there's no guarantee that Pujols would hire him, right? But to think about those two in particular leading the way for the Padres, I'm in favor for, because I think Albert Pujols is going to get guys like Manny and Fernando and Xander and some of these players that grew up watching Albert Pujols play. I think they're going to get the most out of him. I think he is going to get the most out of those guys. I think you go with a safe play like a Ruben Niebla and just continue to roll what you had the last couple of years. And I think they would respect Ruben Niebla. But to me, I think they really respect Albert Pujols. And I think it's different for him not having managerial experience than a guy that you grabbed from Double-A, or a guy like Tony Vitello from Tennessee that doesn't have any of the it doesn't have the experience of dealing with major league ball players in a sense like that, right? I don't want to see another Jace Tingler hire or an Andy Green hire. Like, you don't want somebody like that. You need either a veteran manager or you need somebody that demands respect. Pujols is a guy that demands respect. Not that he physically is demanding respect, but you respect the guy that has hit 703, as Manny Machado would say, pumps in the show. Albert Pujols had 703 home runs. The guy was an 11-time All-Star. He has hit the fourth most home runs in Major League Baseball history. You don't think that guy can tell you a couple of things about hitting? He just recently retired in 2022. I think he could be a manager that leads this team to their first World Series. I really do. Because that's the other thing you're hiring. You have to hire somebody to accomplish something that has never been accomplished before. And so the report that the Padres are going to interview Albert Pujols on Wednesday, I think, is good news. Now, Tony Perez in the chat has jumped the gun a little bit. We got the report earlier this morning from Mark Feinsand that Albert Pujols will not be the Angels' next manager, according to sources. The Baltimore Orioles and the Padres remain interested in Pujols. John Heyman was on it early. Sam Blum also reporting that Albert Pujols will not be the manager of the Los Angeles Angels. Now, we'll see what happens because I think he's interviewing with the Orioles sometime this week too. And just because the Padres are interviewing him doesn't mean they're going to hire him. Remember, they interviewed Joe Girardi and they've interviewed other potential managerial candidates. You got to cast the wide net, see what your options are when they're out there. But I like the way that they're pushing this a little bit more because I'd love to see Albert Pujols managing the Padres. We're going to get to what Eric Grupner said about this in the noon hour. But before we get to that, let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me.
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk. Brought to you by QC Kinetics. Stop sitting on the sidelines. QC Kinetics gets you back in the game without surgery. To learn how, visit QCkinetics.com.
Boy,
All right, Frank, what do we got today?
boy, do we have some stuff going on this weekend, especially in college football, which is where we will start.
Number 1.
Florida has officially fired Billy Napier on Sunday, a day after an error-filled win against Mississippi State that included more head-scratching calls and offensive lulls like those that marked much of his 4-year run with the Gators. Athletic director Scott Strickland made the move following the 23-21 victory that improved the Gators' record to 3-4, but looked as if it was going to be a gut-wrenching loss until defensive tackle Mekhi Borio, picked off a pass with 21 seconds left, and the Bulldogs near field goal range. The game-sealing takeaway energized the Swamp, but the home crowd quickly turned on Napier and booed him as they sprinted off the field. Strickland has seen enough and pulled the plug on a run that most of the Florida faithful thought would have lasted longer. Thought that it lasted longer than it should have. Do you agree? Should this have happened sooner?
I mean, I guess he had ample of time to be able to try to turn the Florida program around, right? And so, like, the most recent portion, I mean, Florida football has not been very good in the last handful of years.
No.
Even though Florida won, it doesn't really, we knew this was coming. Last week there was a report, right, about Florida was going to fire Billy Napier on Saturday, regardless if he won or lost. They won against the Mississippi State team that has not been good so far in the SEC, and Billy Napier still got fired. I agree with Go Aztecs in the chat. How Mike Norvell flew back to Florida State still surprises a lot of us after that Stanford game, but I think it goes to show that coaching in the SEC is a fool's errand unless you win immediately within your first 3 years, because other teams have been able to do it, which is a rough starting point. I mean, Florida's got to start spending some more money, and we'll see who their new head coach is, but another one bites the dust. The coaching carousel in this offseason is going to be crazy.
Yep, it is.
Number 2.
And we're going to stay in Florida for this one, as Miami Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel said he isn't thinking about his job security even after a 31-6 loss against the Cleveland Browns. A clearly disappointed McDaniel gripped both sides of his lectern as he spoke after the game from Huntington Bank Stadium, where the Dolphins continued their worst start since 2021. When asked whether he feels renewed concern over his job security, McDaniels again said he feels like worrying would be a disservice to the other people inside the organization. How much longer are the Miami Dolphins going to be able to take this?
I don't know. I would have fired him already. They've been awful. He's been awful since the get-go. I mean, he started off strong in Miami. They put some money in the receiving core and like offensive weapons for Tua, but again, they didn't use the offensive line. And again, it's an offensive only level team, and their defense just gets shredded on a daily basis. I mean, the Browns just shredded Miami yesterday. That should have been the final nail in the coffin. Getting blown out 31-6 to a Browns team that had been awful all year and traded their quarterback. I mean, come on.
Has not been good for him this year.
Number 3.
University of Tennessee baseball coach Tony Vitello has emerged as the front runner for the San Francisco Giants managerial job, and a resolution on a potential deal is expected within the next 24 to 72 hours. Should the sides agree on a contract, Vitello would become the first manager in Major League Baseball history to jump directly from a college program to the big leagues without experience in a professional organization. First, would this be a good hire for San Francisco?
Vitello, I mean, he's a great coach at Tennessee. He also has the best players.
Yeah, well, you know.
They pay the most out of anybody in college baseball. So I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be like managing guys that got a ton of money. But you know what? We'll find out if they decide to go that way. We had a report on that. And what did Eric Krupner say on the morning show? That comes next. Lunchtime hour.
Fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Noon lunchtime hour on 97 through the Fan. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one station, 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97 through the Fan join us via the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. All right. Joining the morning show, Ben and Woods, earlier today on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline was none other than the CEO of the San Diego Padres and Eric Grupner. Eric Grupner had a lot to say on the morning show, a lot of things that needed to be said or addressed, and we're going to play some of that for you. The first thing was obviously the start to the offseason and Mike Schultz's retirement, which was the most glaring thing to get things started earlier this morning.
So the end of the season, if you don't have a parade, is always a really difficult transition. It's kind of a taste you got to get out of your mouth, and not easy. It's hard to watch baseball for a week or so after the season ends, but I've slowly gotten back into watching the postseason. So it was tough. It was a tough adjustment. I think for 2 years in a row now, we felt like we've had a team with a level of talent and experience that's commensurate with the championship caliber team, and we just haven't been able to get it done in the postseason, and that's tough. But you can pretty quickly turn your focus to what it's going to take to get better and change the outcome next year and break through and win a championship, and that's really the focus of the off season. It's less nights and weekends at the ballpark, which is nice, but just as much effort and work. And, it begins with our evaluation of where we need to get better to win a championship. And we're in the process of doing that right now. And you asked about Mike. I think, to start the off season with his decision to retire as a manager, had to be a focus for us for the last week or so. And we certainly wish Mike the best, but now we need to hire the best manager who we believe can lead us to a World Series championship in 2026.
Which is exactly what they're in the process of doing. We had the news about, obviously, Albert Pujols, and that's going to be an interview on Wednesday. It was announced on social media by Alden Gonzalez. So that is lined up. It sounds like they will potentially interview, or it sounds like they're going to interview Ruben Niebla, the pitching coach. And they've had some interest in a guy like Nick Hundley, but what is the latest on the managerial search process? Here's what Eric Grupner had to say.
Yeah, that process has begun. We spent the last week identifying both internal and external candidates, and we'll begin the interview process this week, in fact, beginning today. And that'll be a multi-week process as we narrow down the candidates and eventually select a manager. So, that process is underway. It's going to be a very important hire for us, and a really important position that we need to fill to put together that, beyond just the roster, the championship caliber team that, we need to have in 26.
The Athletic article that came out, very interesting. Talked about a little bit of a rift between Eric Grupner and AJ Preller. So they didn't see eye to eye on some things. And, the article said what it said. And obviously, couldn't not ask him the question about what his relationship is like with AJ Preller. Now, in the article, AJ Preller mentioned that he's got a cordial and a good working relationship with Eric Grupner. That was said in the article. AJ Preller did not say he had any problems with Eric Grubner. It was the sources that said there might be a rift between the two. Eric Grubner was not quoted in the Athletic article, but the morning show, Ben and Woods, asked him about this particular rift, I guess, but more so the relationship he has with AJ Preller. And here's what Eric Grubner said regarding the Athletic article that came out last week.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that opportunity and happy to discuss that topic. The Athletic had reached out to both AJ and I, and obviously AJ went on the record, and I declined to talk about it, and in part because I told the Athletic at the time that it's not true. AJ went on the record and also said it's not true. We've worked together for over a decade, AJ and I. We've always had and continue to have a great working relationship. We respect each other, and without the contributions that each of us have made, we would not have been able to have accomplished some of the great things that we've accomplished as an organization, really in particular over the last 5 years. And so our ability to work together in the working relationship we have and what each of us brings to the table, I think is a continuing key to our success. And so AJ, shared that with the Athletic. I think it was included in the article. I'm saying it to you today. It's just not true. There's only two people who are qualified to speak on this topic, and you've now heard from both of us. We work well together, and we're aligned in our singular goal of winning a World Series championship, and that's not going to change. So it's really, much ado about nothing from my perspective, but I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it and, just correct whatever misconceptions there might be out there.
That's great. Sounds like great news. Hopefully that means they're working on a opportunity to bring back AJ Preller, or at least give him a contract extension. What's the latest on AJ Preller potentially getting a contract extension? Here is what Eric Grubner said on Ben and Woods earlier this morning.
Yeah, so shortly after the season ended, our chairman, John Seidler, sent out a letter to our fans and, said a couple of key things. Number one, just reiterated that our plan going into the offseason and in 2026 is to continue to do everything we can to pursue a World Series championship. But that, as we saw in the postseason this year for a second year in a row, there were areas of deficiency where we need to get better. And the only way we're going to get better is if we, go through an exhaustive process this offseason of taking a look at all the different areas of the organization with a particular eye towards how we can improve some of the areas where we need to get better to win a championship. So that evaluation process has started now. As Ben mentioned, we're only 2 weeks into the offseason, but it started and it's going in earnest. And part of that review process, is going to now be looking for a new manager, which we didn't necessarily anticipate coming into the offseason. But it's also going to involve, and is already in process, involving a review of AJ and a contract extension. So, that's already started. John's taking the lead on that discussion with AJ, and it's always been the plan that the discussions around an extension for AJ would take place beginning in the offseason, as part of our review and evaluation. And so those discussions have begun, and, we're optimistic that AJ will be our president of baseball operations past 2026.
That sounds like good news. Again, I think they got to do that before they eventually hire a manager. But if it's in the works, I think that's going to help play in the interview process to finding a new manager of the San Diego Padres. Now, there's a lot of review processes that the Padres are going to do. Obviously, Eric Grubner talked about that leading into the extension for AJ Preller, but what is the latest on the team's review process of the season? As they said, they were going to go through the entire organization. Here's what Eric Grubner said about the team's review process of the season.
Begin with a thorough review of last year's team and where we had strengths, where we had areas of weakness or deficiency. And I think that's the thing about the sport of baseball is it's not particularly hard to figure that out because you have such a large data set or sample size of 162 regular season games and then hopefully, as many postseason games as possible. And so it's, there's really not much mystery around where we need to get better. I think we continued to pitch the ball really well, especially despite some of the injuries that we had to the starting rotation. And I think that continued to be a strength of the team. We defended well. And offensively, there were games and stretches where, we strung together the type of consistent at-bats that has been a hallmark of our offense over the last couple of seasons. But, we were lacking in slug. We were lacking in the ability to score runners when they were in scoring position. And, I think we've found for a couple of postseasons in a row now that, our offense just wasn't at the level that it needed to be at to play championship level baseball. So that's a key area of focus for us. And it's going to be a key area of focus for our new manager once we hire him. And so that's really where it starts. And there's so many other parts of the organization, so many other areas where every year we relentlessly pursue improvement, whether it's the ballpark experience for our fans, who are amazing, by the way, and, cannot say enough about the support that they've given us over these last 5 years. I mean, these last 5 years, we've been, with the exception of 1 year out of those 5, we've been in top 3 in attendance in Major League Baseball. We finished number 2 this past season, and all the credit and gratitude goes to our fans for that. And every year we've got to elevate their experience. That's our goal. We want them to come to the ballpark and experience something new, something that they haven't seen before at the ballpark, to keep it fresh and new, but also continue to deliver the same high level of guest experience, in-game experience, keep the area around the ballpark clean and safe and welcoming to our fans. And then we do a lot in the off season, which we'll talk about in a minute, but all that is key as well, because that helps support the highest level of payroll that we can possibly have in this market, which is a key component to having a championship team. So everything we do as an organization under AJ's leadership, my leadership, it's all with a focus of winning the championship. There's a lot of different pieces to that puzzle. And every year we've got to try to get better in each and every area of how we operate this franchise. And that's what it's going to take to win a championship.
He goes on to talk about one other thing that I think a lot of Padres fans are really want to know about. We'll talk about what he said when we come back. Eric Rupner on the morning show earlier today on Ben and Woods. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and locally each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Okay, so listen, fall is coming, which means this is the moment to plant your yard just like my family does. Hey everyone, Tony Gwynn Jr. here, and I'm telling you, Moon Valley Nurseries has you covered. They're the growers. They literally grow the trees, plants, shrubs on their own farms right here in Southern California. So they're already ready for your yard. You pick it, they design it, they plant it, you just enjoy it. I mean, why wait? Thousands of trees are ready right now. Call Moon Valley Nurseries or visit them online today at moonvalleynurseries.com.
At Sprouts Farmers Market, the Sprouts brand sale's going on now. And who knows Sprouts brand best? Our own team members.
What I like about Sprouts, it's quality. My favorite snack is a coconut roll.
One of my go-to meals at home is their organic penne regatta.
Save 20% off hundreds of delicious, healthy Sprouts brand products. Organic produce like our super green salad mix. Your next fave, organic Italian farfalle pasta. Even decadent treats like our vanilla wafer bites. All 20% off through October 21st.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Also that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Action Matters.
Attention former residents of California juvenile detention centers. If you are housed at facilities such as Kearney Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility in San Diego, Gilbert Street Juvenile Hall in San Bernardino, Los Padrinos Hall in Los Angeles, or any other California juvenile detention center, and were a victim of sexual abuse, now is the time to come forward. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For decades, reports of sexual abuse and misconduct have surfaced in California's youth detention system, and officials failed to protect the vulnerable children in their care. If you were housed in a California juvenile detention center at any time and suffered sexual abuse from staff members, other inmates, or residents, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call our California Juvenile Detention Helpline now at 800-966-4310. The deadline to file a claim may be approaching. Don't wait. Get the justice, closure, and financial compensation you deserve. Call our law firm's Juvenile Detention Sexual Abuse Helpline right now at 800-966-4310. That's 800-966-4310. 800-966-4310.
What if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? Hey, it's Woodsy. Right now at Loan Pronto, they got the lowest rates in 3 years. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. One client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off their debt, paid off 2 car loans, and saved $2,100 a month. One call, life changed. There's no wait, no hard credit pull up front. You probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Rates are at a 3-year low. Act now. Call 619-207-4336 or visit loanpronto.com for your free instant home appraisal. See how much cash you can get out today. Loan Pronto, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. 619-207-4336. See how much cash you can get out today. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Gwynn and Chris is available in podcast form. You can listen to the full show or hour by hour by searching for Gwynn and Chris on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This hour on 97 to the Fan is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. With APRs as low as 0% and tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotapoway.com in the heart of San Diego, in the heart of North County. Poway's North County, not East County. North County. All of us locals understand that. The transplants like to throw in it's East County. It's not. It's North County. Stop it. Stop it. I need money in the chat. I know you're lurking. No. It's North County. I digress. All right. Let's get to the final thing that Eric Rubner talked about. No, it wasn't about the TV contract. Okay? They're working on it. All these teams are working. There's a lot of teams in baseball that are working on it. I think that wasn't the latest update we had was like, aren't they moving to ESPN Plus or something like that? Or isn't ESPN taking over? I don't know for a fact. I thought that was the case. We'll look that up as Eric Rubner talks about something else that's very important. That would be the payroll. We talked about payroll for the first hour of the show, payroll in Major League Baseball. What's the Padres payroll going to look like next year? Is it going to increase? Is it going to decrease? We're trying to save money. We got money to spend. And everything that you need to improve on this roster, it's going to cost money. What's the payroll going to look like? Here's what Eric Grupner said on Bennett Woods earlier this morning.
Yeah, I think you can add slug. You can also get more slug out of the players you have on the roster.
Yep.
So I just want to clarify that.
100%.
I think it's certainly a combination, and we're going to need to ultimately do both. So part of that evaluation process, and we're going through it right now, is budgeting for next year, taking a look at where we expect both expenses and revenue to be at for 2026. But I can, once again, say something that I've said, over the years for a while now, which is every resource that we have, every dollar that we generate above what obviously the expenses of operating the team in the ballpark, all of that's going to go into fielding the most competitive team we can, which means we're going to take payroll as high as we possibly can take it. We were a top 10 payroll this last year, and we've been a little bit higher than that in a couple of the prior years. We've consistently been in the top 10 payroll in baseball, and we believe that if we can continue to stay in that top, tertile or top 10 of payroll in Major League Baseball, that with the skills that AJ and his team bring to bear and the players that we have under contract and have committed to that form the core of this team, we have everything that we need to win a World Series championship. And so we're going to, now that's not to say that we would settle at a lower payroll than we were capable of supporting. Everything we have is going to go into it. And our fans and their continued support of this team, the way that they've shown up, has allowed us to continue to maintain a payroll in the top 10 in baseball. And that's not historically been the case for this franchise, both in terms of attendance and in terms of payroll. And so, we're going to continue to do the same thing we've been doing for years now, which is try to put the most competitive team we can on the field with the goal of winning a World Series championship. We've made that commitment to the fans. We've continued to make good on that commitment. Would we love to have a top payroll in baseball? Sure. I know the fans would love for us to be the number one payroll in baseball. I would love that. The reality is we're going to continue to try to be as high as we can be on payroll, and that's a product of the support we've received from the fans, and we're going to continue to put every resource back into this team.
We are a actions over words show. Based on what we were talking about in the first hour, which relates to all of this, doesn't it, Frank? Relates to all of this.
I would say so.
It's like we were talking about it all day. And I'm going to pull it back up on my phone. This Forbes thing that they put out. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's kind of some projections. But the Padres, to me, the Padres should be trying to spend, I think they need to be top 10 in payroll, if they can. And the fact that they are the sixth highest spender in terms of percentage of revenue in Major League Baseball, I think is satisfactory to fans. They are doing exactly what Eric Grupner said they're doing. We don't know how much money the Padres make. Forbes had a guess that it's around $432 million in revenue, which is not profit. That is revenue. And I don't know what that entails. I'm sure there's a lot of different projections with that, and you will never know because they're never opening the books. But based on those projections and what the payroll is, the Padres are spending 64% of their revenue on their payroll. And again, revenue is not profit. They got to take their expenses out. Eric Grupner just laid all of that out in that answer. We are going to try to spend as much of the money we bring in as possible on payroll after we have to spend the money to run a professional baseball team, which it costs a lot to run a professional baseball team. I mean, the fact that they're spending 64% of their revenue on their payroll tells you that they're spending almost as much as they possibly can. I mean, I don't know how much the expenses are for that place, but I would imagine the expenses for running a ball club are very high. I don't know how much more of a percentage you can run. And if you look at it, there's only one team that is spending 90% of their revenue. And then there's a drastic fall off from everybody else. But the team that's spending 90% of their revenue on payroll is the New York Mets, and that's because they have the richest owner in baseball. He's just writing checks. He doesn't care. It's not going to affect him. He could put more money into the team than anything else. He is the only one that can do that. The Dodgers have other resources, as we mentioned before. They spend 73% of their revenue on payroll. They can afford to do that and still make a lot of money. The Padres are spending in the top 10 in Major League Baseball in terms of percentage of the revenue going to the payroll. I think that's more than fair. That shows that they're trying to win. It takes money to spend on a lot of these players. To say that they're not doing that or they're lying or they're trying to spend, they're spending the money. Now, that's not saying that they can't raise their payroll. They might raise it a little bit. But to me, I think that they're doing a fair job of spending money on the team. And Eric Grubner said this as well, and I totally agree. They need more slug. They can go out, buy some more slug, but also at the same time, they have players on the team that could also contribute to the slugging that need to play at a higher level. They have spent the money. I think they might be able to expend a little bit more. They have hiked the season ticket prices. They've done a lot of that, but to say that they are not spending on the team, I think would be outrageous. They're spending on the team. If they weren't, we'd say something. But they are, and it shows it. Their actions speak that they're spending on the team. There shouldn't be any qualms about that. After everything that Eric Grubner has said, Frank, what is your initial reaction on some of the payroll and AJ Preller? And we got enough clarity there?
I think there's a lot of good signs to be taken out from what Grubner said this morning.
I'd agree.
To hear the contract extension conversations with AJ Preller, I think whether or not that news comes out before, after, or at the same time as the manager announcement, I think is fine. At least it's heading in the proper direction. And as far as the payroll goes, listen, we've known the Padres have been in this spot for the last couple of years. They're trying to stick to it. They're trying to find a way to win with what they have, not adding too much. They have their own quote unquote cap that they're trying to stay under. So, I mean, it is about as expected from Eric Grubner for what we heard. And again, I'm very happy that he and Preller are moving in the right direction for the future of this team.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions that the Padres fans have had. And there's a lot of things that he probably couldn't say, correct? But at the same time, I mean, everything that he probably could said, he went out there and answered it. It was a good job by Ben and Woods asking the questions, asking a lot of the tough questions sometimes. In terms of the payroll, the Padres spend money, and this ownership spends money. And if they ask a little bit, if they spend a little bit more, great. AJ Preller, to me, deserves a contract extension. Bring in a manager that tries to get the most out of these guys, and let's roll for 2026. And then who knows what happens after that, because the collective bargaining agreement ends, and we go back to the beginning of the conversation that we had in the first hour of the show. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we'll talk more about the latest on the Padres managerial search, latest with Albert Pujols, some other things that Eric Grubner talked about as we continue the Padres conversation, and get to, hopefully, our midday sports standoff. If you call in and take me down to sports trivia, you have an opportunity to win a trip to Vegas to see Jerry Seinfeld. We'll talk more about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. All right, we need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff. If you can take me down in some sports trivia, you'd be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize. The trip is for two to see Jerry Seinfeld in Las Vegas, including 2 tickets to the show on April 17th at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace, a 2-night stay at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, and a $100 gas card. Jerry Seinfeld returns to the Coliseum at Caesars Palace on April 17th and 18th. See Ticketmaster.com for tickets. Join us for the Midday Sports Standoff. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by our local Kia dealers. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires. As if we get a contestant, we will take on the Midday Sports Stand-Up. Let's talk a little bit about, and we didn't get to this earlier, but let's get to it now. Top offseason focus for the Padres. Obviously, to me, it's getting A.J. Preller signed to a contract extension. Sounds like that might be the case. And again, like we saw a report from Jim Bowden earlier today. Frank Marchese sent it to me, as well as Adam Klug. This is from Jim Bowden. To be clear, AJ Preller, was there a tweet before this? Very unsolicited. Here it is. To be clear, AJ Preller is happy in San Diego, has a strong relationship with ownership, and wants to stay long-term, and all indications Jim Bowden is getting is the feelings are mutual. AJ and ownership continued focus is to bring a world championship to San Diego over the next few years. That has been the going conversation, the ongoing conversation from the Padres staff from Park Boulevard, even before the Dennis Lin, Ken Rosenthal article that was put out about a little bit of a rift maybe between A.J. Preller and Eric Grupner. A.J. Preller said he's got a great working relationship with Eric Grupner. Eric Grupner said the exact same thing on Ben and Woods. So, I think there was a clip, and I need money saying in the chat, there was a clip from SiriusXM Radio. We'll probably get to that in the next hour of A.J. Preller talking on that show and probably discussing his future with the San Diego Padres. But as of right now, I think that's the main area of concern for the Padres. Then the next area of concern is, or the next, not really area of concern, I'm going to rephrase that. That is priority number one. Priority number two, finding a manager, letting the guy that you're going to sign a contract extension to hire a manager. You can get priority two done over priority one, especially if priority one is in the works, but that's one and two. Signing A.J. Preller to a contract extension, having him find a manager. Albert Pujols is interviewing for the Padres managerial job on Wednesday. We'll have updates on that when we get them later in the week. We'll let you know if there's any other candidates potentially being interviewed. It sounds like so far it's just Albert Pujols and Ruben Niebla. There has been some interest with the Padres and Nick Hundley. Now, Nick Hundley was rumored to be part of the conversation for the Giants managerial job. Sounds like Tony Vitello might be in the conversation for the new Giants job. There was an article in the New York Times about this, or really The Athletic. And this is an excerpt from it of Nick Hundley took himself out of consideration for the Giants job. There's every indication that the job was Hundley's if he wanted it. The former Willie Mack Award winner is one of Posey's best friends in the game and models Posey's stated desire to hire a servant leader whose presence commands respect in every room he enters. But Hundley lives in San Diego. He has 2 young daughters and is said to treasure being an active participant in their lives, something his current role allows while working as a special assistant for the Texas Rangers, general manager, and longtime friend Chris Young. Becoming a major league manager would require signing himself over to the demands of a 6-week spring training and a 162-game schedule. Hundley wasn't sure he was ready to make that commitment right now, and it's likely that he wouldn't have seriously considered it for anyone other than Posey, while Hundley has been contacted by other teams. It said in Kevin Acey's report that the Padres are interested in potentially talking with Nick Hundley as well. I don't know if that changes with him living in San Diego. He took his name out of the Giants job. I mean, obviously that would be moving. Or maybe not moving. I mean, at this point, there's a lot of when you have made the money that guys like Nick Hundley has made and people in professional baseball, they don't have to physically move. They could go rent out a place in the new city and live there during the season. I don't know if that is something he would do or if they'd physically move the family to San Francisco. I don't know if that's a factor or not. But I do find it interesting that he wants to be a family man, but also like considering a managerial job. It sounds more like he did it as a favor to Buster Posey. But does that change if he's in San Diego? That's an interesting case. Now, if he takes an interview with the Padres, and there's no indication that he's going to get an interview or whatever, all we know is the Padres were interested they were interested in Nick Hundley. I don't know if that changes or not. So if Nick Hundley gets an interview with the Padres, maybe he thinks he could do the managerial job here in San Diego. He doesn't have to move anything, and he could still be very apparent in his daughter's lives. We'll see what happens with that. All we do know, at least up to 12:40 on October 20th, is Albert Pujols is getting an interview. Ruben Niebla is getting an interview, and we know that Albert Pujols' interview is on Wednesday. Maybe they already interviewed Ruben Niebla. I don't know. Sounds like he will get one, though, for the managerial job. Very interesting. So those are that's priority number 1 and 2 for top offseason focus for the Padres in this offseason. The next one, too, is, and again, when laid out in the article that talks about this, A.J. Preller held his end-of-the-season press conference last Tuesday, addressed key questions about the team's future, including the ongoing managerial search, his own status, several major roster decisions heading the offseason. While leadership dominated the headlines, Preller provided important updates on players such as Yu Darvish, Mason Miller, Ethan Salas, as well as the team's offseason priorities. Now, the next level here, and I think this is in kind of the order that he would talk about. I think they got to figure out what Yu Darvish is doing before they even discuss anything else in the lineup. Because Yu Darvish impacts a lot with his decision. It impacts from a monetary standpoint of how much more money we're going to have off the books if Yu Darvish decides to retire, or how much less we're going to be able to work with if he does decide to pitch in 2026, try to go another year. And that also impacts on what your decision-making is for an on-field standpoint of who's going to be in the starting rotation. Can Yu Darvish have a starting rotation spot? To me, that decision is very impactful and needs to be done before you start looking around the free agents, before you start thinking about trades. You need to know what the future is for Yu Darvish. He's 39 years old. He's going to be 40 next year. He has 3 years left on his contract, but he could be contemplating retirement after another injury-plagued season, and obviously not that great of an outing in Chicago for the wild card series. Darvish only made 15 starts in 2025 due to elbow issues. It's uncertain whether he will require additional medical intervention. I mean, we didn't even think about that either. I mean, there could be a situation where he might need to get another surgery or something to keep going, and he doesn't want to do it. Or he's at the point where it's like, what's the point in doing said procedure? And I don't know. That this could be an issue, though, with his elbow. He had the elbow issues last year. He worked his way through it. Who knows if there's anything else medical that he would have to address during the offseason. Following the team's wild card series loss in Chicago, Darvish said he needed time before deciding his future. A.J. Preller did confirm ongoing conversations with Yu Darvish during his press conference last week. Quote, "We'll keep talking to him over the course of the next couple of weeks to see what it means for him. He's a big part of the organization." Now, that being said, when A.J. Preller discussed the starting rotation, he failed to mention Yu Darvish's name. Maybe he forgot. A.J. Preller is the type of person that is very careful about the words that he chooses, is very careful about the names he mentions. He's pretty savvy when it comes to answering the questions in the media. Not to give too much information that he doesn't need to give. He did not mention Yu Darvish. Annie Halpern had to ask him about what the Yu Darvish situation was, and then A.J. Preller went on to say, like, well, he's got we're waiting for a decision. We've had ongoing conversations. You have to figure out the Yu Darvish situation. That's a major impact for your offseason and where the future is. I think that's more important than a lot of different things like finding players with slug and all this other stuff. Before you can start thinking about the offseason, you need to know what Yu Darvish is doing. Now, here's the thing. You got 5 days at the conclusion of the World Series. That is a period of time where it's dead and you can't start signing deals. That doesn't mean these guys aren't start talking. I mean, they're putting their boards together and everything like that for the free agency and potential moves for trades. But the sooner you know what Yu Darvish is doing, the sooner you can put together your roster. There's a couple other major questions for the Padres that involve this team and the offseason. We'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour after we get to today's Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank. What we got playing today?
We have David in Terrasana playing today. David, how you doing, bud?
Great. How are you guys?
Good. Okay, so we're going to be a little bit more normal.
More
relaxed than we were on Friday.
Friday was rough, dude.
Shut up. I know.
Shut up, man.
So today,
Fallon Frank.
Today's topic is there are 5 FBS schools that do not have university in their title. So San Diego State University, University of Notre Dame.
Okay.
Do not have university in their official title. David,
okay,
your first crack.
So, for clarification, these are Division I schools, right?
Yes, FBS Division I schools. Yes.
Tough.
Did you say Tufts?
Yes.
That is a D3 school.
Yeah, no, that's
all right. Fair enough.
I would go with the Naval Academy.
Navy, correct.
University. Sorry, University. United States Military Academy, West Point.
Army, sure, yes.
Army, West Point. Yeah, the Air Force Academy.
Air Force, yes. Need to get this one right.
Citadel.
What was that?
He's got not an FBS school.
That is
try again. Not an FBS school.
VMI, Virginia Military Institute.
Not an FBS school. You're on fire if it wasn't for the FBS thing.
They're both in Power 4 conferences.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
He needed to get that one more.
Yes.
I'll give you another hint because I know both of them. I'll give you another hint. They're both in the ACC. That is correct, right, Frank? They're both in the ACC?
Yes.
Yes, they are. One last chance, David.
Go ahead, David.
God, I'm like running through everybody has university in their name that I keep running through in the ACC. Except obviously these two.
Throw out a guess.
Notre Dame.
No.
Oh, dang it.
Boston College and the Georgia Institute of Technology. Georgia Tech, which is different than Texas Tech because it's Texas Tech University. It's the Georgia Institute of Technology.
So the 3 military academies, Boston College and Georgia Tech were the 5.
See, now when you pose that idea of that question, a couple of days ago. I was sitting there going like, does this count? Does that count? Does this count? I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, to me, like, Ole Miss was like, well, that's not really the universe. I'm thinking about like official title names. And I'm like, well, Ole Miss is the University of Mississippi. Does that count? And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. The Naval Academy. They're not universities. They're academies, colleges, and Institute of Technologies. I will say that was a better question than last week.
Thank you. It's the one I probably should have gone with Friday.
Our guy David was on it for all non-FBS schools.
He
would have
was.
killed me in
He
that
was,
particular.
yeah, he was nailing it.
Yep.
And again, and he asked for clarification before we got into it as well. And we said, yeah, all FBS schools.
All FBS schools. You know what? Some people don't know what FBS is.
There's a B and then there's a C. He was naming the FCS.
FCS.
We wanted the B part of the FBS.
Jake Waters in the chat. I propose at the next live remote a college football standoff first, Braden. It's possible. Not bad. Not bad. I'm waiting on more TV times. I'm going to the TCU BYU game in a couple of weeks.
Oh, are you now?
It's a little bit better, at least. So the earliest the BYU game can start, the earliest a BYU game can start, okay, the earliest is 10 o'clock Mountain Time. That's the earliest window they could potentially start a game, which is stupid, but nonetheless. I land in Salt Lake City at 9:30. I can theoretically make most of that game, worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, they're supposed to announce the times. You know what I forgot about at this point in the season?
They
you know
move
what?
the windows later.
The windows become smaller. So it usually is a 14-day window or a 13-day window, whatever it is, 14-day window, 13-day window.
Speaking of which, we do know that this weekend it will be at 12:30 that San Diego State will take on Fresno State, not 4. It'll be 12:30.
Oh, they flipped. Yeah, they had a one or other.
Yeah, it was either 12:30 or 4 o'clock. They announced it will be at 12:30.
Okay. So they announced the Big 12 games for the following week. So this weekend, in 2 weeks, they announced this is what this is what's so dumb about this. So for the games on September 1st, now TCU doesn't have a game, so I don't really care.
September 1st?
November 1st, sorry. So they don't have a game, so I don't really care. But it is a tease for what could potentially play out. They gave a game time for one game. It was Oklahoma State, Kansas. Nobody's watching that game. That's why that game time got out. ESPN Plus at 4 o'clock Eastern, a 1 o'clock game for that. And then they're like, okay, here's all your game times. And then listed 6 teams that are now added to the 6-day selection. Thank you. Why don't you just pick the game time like a day before? Let's just make it fun. Let's just play roulette with the game time. We should pick it the day of on College Game Day. Wake up at 6 in the morning, see what they announce. Hey, today's game, Oregon and Washington. We're actually kicking off for the next 3 hours. It's going to be at 9 in the morning. Everybody's in their hotel, like waiting, like, what time's our game today? That might be more entertaining.
Let's get to the stadium early.
So we're going to the game, and the person I'm going with goes, I hate TV. It's her first time experiencing the TV portion of said game. I'm like, well, this is why they make so much money. They have to stagger it so it makes a lot of sense. Arizona, Colorado, 6-day selection. Arizona State, Iowa State, 6-day selection. Cincinnati, Utah, 6-day selection. I mean, you're telling me you can't schedule UCF Baylor on November 1st? You have to wait to see what kind of plays out? Texas Tech, Kansas State?
I don't know what made me just think of this.
West Virginia, Houston should have a game time on November 1st. Who's watching that?
I don't know what made me just think of this. The remember the part in Space Jam where they're playing the original, the good one?
Yeah, the good one. I haven't even watched the other one because it sucks.
I haven't either. Where they're playing like pickup basketball after Michael Jordan first gets to Looney Tune Land.
Mm-hmm.
And Newman's sitting on the bench. He's like, the mouse? You picked the mouse?
Yeah, the mouse?
Yeah, I don't know why that just popped into my head.
The mouse.
But that's you picked the mouse?
Yeah. They also drop a what in the Mickey Mouse organization? comes up with a team like the Ducks. That's a great line in that movie. Where Daffy Duck wanted to be called the Ducks.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of Mickey Mouse organization names their team the Ducks? What a shot by Warner Brothers. All right, so next Monday, when they announce the game times for the ones that I care about, it'll probably I guarantee I'll get a 6-day selection. That's just how it works. But at least my plan is tripped, and it makes sense. 1 o'clock hour.
Plan is tripped. Tripped is planned.
Tripped is planned. It's a Monday. How about Orthodox Evans in the chat today? You're not going to tell us what you did this weekend? Those picks looked incredible. It's called San Clemente. San Clemente's great. San Clemente is I don't want to hype it up too much because I like being there and I like not having too many people around. San Clemente is my favorite place on the planet, not named San Diego. It is the perfect place. You want to know why San Clemente is the perfect place? For a lot of reasons. It's a great beach town. It has a main drag with multiple restaurants, shops, bars. It goes down to the when you get down to the beach. The only thing that's like San Clemente, that sucks at San Clemente is the actual physical beach. The actual beach is not great. Yeah, the pier there. They got the train there. It's great. Trains, Frank. They got the trains rolling through.
Squirrel.
I love the train rolling through San Clemente. It's awesome. Anyway. And right now in October, I mean, the pictures I took were crazy. But it's a great little place. And here's the best part for everybody that lives in San Diego, that they could take a vacation or a weekend in San Clemente. You're far enough away where you feel like you're on vacation, but you're close enough where it doesn't seem like you're just totally away from everything. It was phenomenal. I posted a bunch of pictures on my social media, mostly on my Instagram stories. It was a great time. And I usually go to our family's got like a timeshare there that they've had for years. We go like once a year. I stayed at an Airbnb that was like just up the road. Just as great. It was awesome. Birthplace of Sam Darnold. Yeah, he's a San Clemente Triton. There you go. So that's what I did over the weekend. I had a great weekend. TCU won. Almost didn't. How about this? Speaking of the mouse, Frank. Now, I will say, so I went to San Clemente this weekend because I was supposed to go to Texas. And then the 11 a.m. kick, back to the kick times. The 11 a.m. kick time I wasn't going to be able to pull it off. Mm-hmm. Unless I took the red eye Friday night, which, by the way, I probably could have made because our game ended at 9. Our game ended before 9 o'clock on Friday. So I could have taken the red eye out. But the problem was, by the time the decision was made that the game was at 11, the Friday night game out, or the Friday flight out, was like $1,000. And the red eye, by the way, didn't get me to Dallas. It got me to Atlanta to then jump on a morning flight to land in Dallas at 8:30 in the morning. I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I went to San Clemente instead. Lightning storm and rain made it go into 4 lightning delays during the rivalry. Which, by the way, I have to mention, as stupid as the Blue Bonnet Battle is, and it's stupid, Frank, we've talked about it. That is a stupid name for a trophy. Couple of things on that. One, TCU football said it's time for the Blue Bonnet Battle, and everybody in the chat immediately said TCU's about to lose. Baylor fans and TCU, they're like, no, whoever acknowledges this is going to lose. Thank God we didn't. But here's the other thing. The broadcast team for ESPN, Frank, called it the Revivalry the entire time. Not one mention of the Blue Bonnet Battle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That would have sucked being in the. Could you imagine? I coach a high school football game. I go straight to the airport. I fly on a red eye to Atlanta, and then back to Dallas. I land at 8:30. I have to go to a hotel, try to get an early check-in, which wouldn't be the case. Get my bags checked at the hotel, and then head over to the stadium where they kick off at 11, and then sit through multiple lightning delays, where most of them happened after they stopped selling beer. I would have left. I would have been like, this is miserable. Forget this. But no, instead, I got to watch at other places. Now, this is what the Mouse did on top of the 11 a.m. kick, Frank. Mm-hmm. Since it got delayed so much, all of a sudden it leaked into on the West Coast 12:30 game times, which means there's nowhere to air the game. So they said it's going to be on Watch ESPN, ESPN Plus, any of that stuff. It's going to be streamed. The last 8 minutes of that game, which actually turned out to be a crazy 8 minutes for Baylor, climbing back down 42-21 to make it a 6-point game, finishing with a 6-point game. All of it was blacked out on all streaming devices. There was a glitch So they said, go watch on streaming, and every area in the country was blacked out to watch that on the stream. Could you imagine if that game was actually like relatively close or an important game? People, or between two schools that didn't have only 10,000 kids at their school? Imagine that was like any SEC team had to deal with that. It would have been just fire and brimstone. At that point, I was like, I'm satisfied. I think they're going to win this game. I can focus on the other games. I'll monitor on. I watched the final 8 minutes on like the ESPN app. I'm watching the game tracker, the game cast for the final 8 minutes of that game. They didn't even post highlights. I didn't think anybody actually saw it.
This is where, like quote unquote illegal streaming sites are really cool. I'm not going to divulge any names because I don't want to ruin the fun for anyone else.
Yeah, plus it's illegal, so.
But this
don't
is
out yourself if you use them.
No, I don't.
One of your friends does.
Shut up.
Some guy at the bar was talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Aha.
Yeah, exactly. But this is where they should be a little bit less than illegal, because what you guys, and by you guys I mean national television and these big media conglomerates, can't get right, these streamers do. So I don't know. Maybe hire them. I don't know. It might help your product out a little bit. May make people
aren't
not
able to
hate
do
you.
this. Yeah, exactly. So that was the deal. We went to there's a sports bar up there called Daly's, which is cool. It's kind of like, has anybody been at Junction in Scripps Ranch or El Cajon? It's kind of like a Junction, right? They have like bar food and a lot of good drinks, and like the TVs surround the entire place. So got to watch the they had the TCU game on for like a half a second by the time we got there at that point, with more lightning delays. Yes, August. Yes. That the Texas Tech Arizona State game was good. That was a good game. I thought there was a lot of great games in college football, but had a great weekend this weekend in San Clemente. I got back today. I drove back this morning. Got
Lucky
home,
you.
showered, and then went. Is there a holiday today or something?
I have no idea.
There was nobody on the road.
There was nobody on the 805 this morning, which would be very nice if that can continue to happen.
There was something going on. I mean, we had traffic on 5. There was traffic on 5 South around north of Del Mar through Solana Beach and Encinitas. It was slight traffic.
Wow, how unfamiliar that feeling is.
It wasn't like a lot though, and like in the morning it was, but like when I got home, and then I got back on the 15. The 15 was empty, just empty. And I'm like, where is everybody?
I don't know where all the drivers came from, but like every single driver on the road was on the ramp between the 805 and the 15 this morning, all doing about 10 miles an hour collectively, which drove me up a wall.
You well, you're coming north, and I'm coming.
Yes.
And I'm coming south.
I'm going north.
Coming from the south, I was coming from the north.
But there was nobody on.
Yeah, where's
there was
everybody at?
nobody on the arterial roads. There was nobody on the 805. Very few people on the 15. Everybody on the ramp between the 805 north and the 15 north.
Was it is it like the National Ride Your Bike Day, or
No, I have no idea.
Was it Nationally Work From Home Day and you and I didn't get the memo? Again.
Come on.
Unfortunate. Anyway.
Adam, can we please be included on those emails for the 10,000th time? Please?
We have a couple of minutes. Let's talk about what happened in high school football over the weekend, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the other offseason plans for the San Diego Padres before Drake Hills will join us to give us a preview of the MLS playoffs to finish up the show. We'll talk all football tomorrow. College football and the NFL tomorrow. A lot to talk about when it comes to that. Let's get to the high school football stuff. What a Friday night across San Diego. Full slate of statement wins, late drama, record-breaking performances as we start rolling towards the stretch run of the high school football season. 2 weeks left in the year for high school football. Starting in the Avocado West, number 2 Carlsbad survived a thriller over the 9th-ranked San Marcos Knights. 31-28, the final. San Marcos took the lead on a 15-yard strike from Crete McKinley to Cutter Voorhees, his third touchdown of the game after earlier scores on a 19-yard catch and a 61-yard fumble return. They scored, San Marcos did, with 6 minutes to go in the game, left Carlsbad too much time. Answered like a champion, 80-yard drive capped by a 2-yard run from Darian Webb with 1:11 to go. Eli McNeil in the clutch, hitting Ethan Meyerhoff twice on that final series. Meyerhoff finishing 6 catches, 129 yards, including gains of 32 and 45. Defensively, Ashwan Cranford sealed it with a sack on the night's final possession. Carlsbad knocks off San Marcos 31-28. Elsewhere in the Avocado West League, Mission Hills blanked Torrey Pines 36-0. Patrick Fleming ran for 2 touchdowns. Troy Hune threw scoring passes to Perrin Blankenship and Josh Gonzalez, and Rhodes Relatores ripped off a 70-yard touchdown run. Torrey Pines with the loss drops to 4-4 in the season and 0-2 in league play. Third-ranked La Costa Canyon Mavericks stayed hot. They handled El Camino 36-14. Quarterback Quinn Roth was nearly perfect, 8 for 10 for 285 and 4 touchdowns. Jackson McGorry hauled in 3 catches for 152 in a score. Lennox Marucci added a pair of touchdown grabs, and Kobe Herman accounted for 102 total yards and 2 touchdowns for El Camino, who's now 1-7 on the season. Noah Salazar threw for 176 yards and 2 scores, both to Omega Cruz and Anthony Sega. Western League action. Lincoln dominated UC 56-0. Quarterbacks Jordan Roa and Kanian Mana combined for over 300 yards and 4 touchdown passes. King David Christopher Dunn had 5 grabs for 100 yards and a score, while Courtney Miller Thompson and Darian Bridges each had 2 touchdown catches. On the ground, Junior Curtis, Rashad Robinson, and Caleb Williams all found the end zone for Lincoln in a dominant win. Cathedral was equally impressive. They won 41-0 over Scripps Ranch. Josh Ramos, filling in at quarterback, threw for 203 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half alone. Isaac Cook, electric with 3 catches for 141 yards and 2 scores, while Honor Falave Johnson added a 50-yard touchdown catch and 95 yards on the ground. Don's defense held Scripps Ranch to just 74 total yards. In the Grossmont Hills League, Granite rolled past Helix 40-14 to take over first place in the Grossmont Hills League. Quarterback Zach Benitez tossed 4 touchdown passes, 2 to Zidane Smith. That is hard to say 4 times fast. 1 each to DJ Wilkins and Noah Walker. Parker Johnson, the new transfer, during mid-season transfer, added a 71-yard kickoff return for a score, while Cal Young and Jesse Wilhite forced key turnovers. Helix continues to search for answers at 3 and 6. Meanwhile, number 10, Mount Miguel, handed Steel Canyon its first loss, 28-21. Matador's quarterback, Jeremiah Loper, led the way with another efficient night, while Steel Canyon's Gavin Kaha threw for 169 yards and 2 scores. The upset of the night came in the Avocado East, where Oceanside stunned Ranch Bernardo, who was ranked. They won 24-21. Pirates quarterback Anthony Barcanero threw for 202 yards. Neki Latuli ran for 116 and a touchdown, and S.J. Pomele totaled 133 with a score. Rancho Bernardo's Gage Weddle countered with 309 yards passing and 3 total touchdowns, while Brody Sella went off 5 catches for 168, including an 85-yard touchdown run. Eastern League, Point Loma stayed perfect with a 55-26 win over Madison. Romeo Carter tied a San Diego section record with 6 touchdown receptions, 7 catches, 214 yards on the night. Ryder Watson and Henry Hauser combined for 478 passing and 8 touchdowns. Wade Mettler added 122 and a score, while Ryan Cleater chipped in a 26-yard touchdown. Poway over Del Norte behind Luke Jorgensen's 176 yards rushing and 2 long touchdowns. Morse beat Claremont. Grossmont continued its surge in the Grossmont Valley League as they were able to get a victory. Holtville took control of the Imperial Valley with a 36-7 win over Brawley. And in the Coastal League, Santa Fe Christian stayed unbeaten. Dax Labrum threw for 166. Brady Berg scored twice, and Brody Stewart added another touchdown in a 42-7 win over La Jolla Country Day. Finally, in the record books, Point Loma's Romeo Carter joins Holtville's Joe Mange, who set single-game touchdown catch record back in 1999. Carter's 6 touchdown performance now ties that 25-year-old mark. And that's a look at what happened in high school football over the weekend. When we come back, most important things the Padres have to address this offseason. We'll talk about it as we continue the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, it's Gravy here, and summer is over. Did you spend it avoiding the beach, dreading the pool, or hiding in oversized clothes? That was me a few years ago, but then I finally did something about it with SD Fat Loss. I didn't gamble with injections or drugs with nasty side effects. I did it with real people that guided me every step of the way to learn how to eat right and create new habits that fit my lifestyle. The results? I dropped 40 pounds in 60 days, and I've kept it off. If you're tired of hiding, tired of putting off your weight loss goals like I'll get to that later, and you want to lose up to 20% of your body fat in just 60 days, reach out to SD Fat Loss right now and get a free consultation at sdfatloss.com. Their guidance, their support, their strategies, it works. Right now, you can take advantage of their fall special of $200 off until the end of October and lose 20% of your body weight before Thanksgiving. You could feel amazing heading into the holiday season. Schedule your free consultation now at sdfatloss.com.
Nobody had to tell your grandparents not to drive while using their typewriters. Why should it be any different for us kids and our cell phones? Distracted driving was the cause of more than 3,000 deaths in 2022. Come on, we're smarter than this. Let's put down the phones and focus on the roads. Drive safe, everybody.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
What if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? Hey, it's Woodsy. Right now at Loan Pronto, they got the lowest rates in 3 years. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. One client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off their debt, paid off 2 car loans, and saved $2,100 a month. One call, life changed. There's no wait, no hard credit pull up front. You probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Rates are at a 3-year low. Act now. Call 619-207-4336 or visit loanpronto.com for your free instant home appraisal. See how much cash you can get out today. Loan Pronto, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. 619-207-4336. See how much cash you can get out today. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. Visit nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
At Straight Talk, we know the holidays are your time to say
yes.
So why put up with a wireless company that makes you say
out of data?
Or
no service here?
Switch to Straight Talk and say yes to real unlimited data on a reliable 5G network covered by Verizon. And with a free 5G phone when you activate select plans, someone else in your family can say yes! Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Based on RootMetrics State of 5G report, United States 1H 2025. Experiences may vary. Not an endorsement of Verizon. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
You know there's a lot that can go on during one night of baseball. Long home runs, epic pitching performances, catches that defy space, time, and gravity.
Climbing the wall, did he catch it? He did!
And what if you could get all of that summarized in a quick, concise, and at least we think, funny podcast that's under 10 minutes? Check out MLB.com's Morning Lineup. It runs Monday through Friday mornings on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you love listening most.
Biggest fan contest returning on Monday, November 3rd. Our grand prize is a night in the Odyssey Suite with 20 tickets for you and your friends to watch a future Padres game with the whole fan staff. Register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan and listen when we announce names each day at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5:30 for your chance to qualify. All of the guests on 97 Through the Fan join us via the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. In the next segment, we will get an update on San Diego FC with Drake Hills. Usually joins us on Friday, but MLS playoffs have been scheduled. So we will talk about all of MLS in their next segment. Let's talk about some baseball here with the Padres and some offseason things. Now, I did get a go Aztecs. Going to taunt the neighborhood kid about scripts? I might have to. What do you think, Frank? Should I be the adult and not talk smack to the child that lives across the street for me that was running his mouth about Scripps Ranch and Cathedral?
Usually I would say yes. But
make fun of the neighbor kid? Were we supposed to TP his house after the win?
This could be a nice teaching moment for the young lad.
It could be. It very well could be. I was like, who are you? Why are you talking to me? Why are you? And then exactly. I should put a Don's flag in his yard. The problem is though, is his sister. So he's got his siblings went to Cathedral. I know they did because they had the Cathedral stickers on their cars and stuff like that. By the way, this family remember I've talked about it in this time slot before. I can't remember how many years ago it was. This house where this kid lives throws Project X parties when mom's out of town. Anybody know what Project X is? Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
You've never seen Project X?
No.
Look up on the computer, Project X.
Look up on the computer.
Project X, as Frank's looking it up. You haven't heard about the Project X? Like this giant party? That's the level of party that this house throws when mom goes out of town. They had a mechanical bull one year. I saw it get dropped off. You understand what I'm saying now, Frank?
Yeah.
Project X. Everybody I don't know. Project X was like when I was in high school and stuff. I think that's when that movie came out. I can't remember off the top of my head.
2012.
2012. Yeah, I was in high school. There's a lot of people that wanted to throw a Project X party. This neighbor throws Project X parties when mom goes out of town. It happens. I don't know if she knows about it or not.
Does now.
Well, if she listens to the show, she might. I doubt she does. They had a party one time where there were just hundreds of kids in the street. Hundreds of them. All over the place. There's kids making out in everybody's front yard. Wait, what's going on?
I'm sorry, but
cars everywhere.
I'm sorry, but
people everywhere.
I'm the neighbor that calls the cops at that point. That would be me.
Can you be a 20-something-year-old and calling the cops on high school kids for throwing a party? How old does that make me seem like?
I don't care. I value my quiet.
I didn't need to know because at that time, the older siblings of said kid that was also talking smack about this particular deal. They, who went to Cathedral, it wouldn't make a lot of sense if I planted the flag in their yard. They had, since they went to Cathedral, there was probably a handful of football players in it that I didn't need to know that was at that party. This is 2 to 3 years ago. Didn't need to know. And I'm pretty sure our left tackle was dating one of the daughters of that house. Because I'd see him all the time. I'd be like, is that? There was one time we made eye contact and he looked at me like, you're not supposed to be. Why are you here? It's the downside of high school stuff or coaching high school things. You know what I'm saying? Rod, my son had a Project X party at my house when I went to Maui. When I went to Maui, how was that, Rod? Is your house still standing after that happened? Frank equals boomer. Frank has been 65 for 20 years. Rod only knew that because all of a sudden his secret stash was gone. Yeah, Cole, I agree. So anyway, should we next time I see that kid,
Yes.
I might have to talk some smack.
We're laying into him. I'm sorry. That's just the thing that's got to happen now. We're laying into the kid.
It was like, why is this guy talking right now? Why is this kid talking smack to me right now about this particular game that I don't even want to play because I know it's going to be not fun? 41-0 later.
How did that go?
How'd the game go?
No, I mean, like, how did the reason why it wouldn't have been fun? How did that go?
The game wouldn't have been fun because I knew the game wasn't going to be fun because we were going to destroy. It's not a good matchup. It's a matchup that should never happen. And we won 41-0. I mean, we had our backup quarterback who's not even he's a safety. He's not even a quarterback. Did you not hear my report? He had like 4 touchdowns and like 200 something yards in the first half. Not a great matchup.
This
week it's going to be a very difficult matchup.
Friend didn't take it all that hard?
No.
One of your friends?
She didn't care. No, of course not.
Oh, okay. That was the question.
She doesn't care.
Oh, okay, good.
We knew the outcome of this particular deal.
It's the SEC before homecoming game.
Was the Marist rolling through there? The Mercer game? Yeah, I mean, we knew that was going to be the case. Should we talk? You know what? I'm gonna be the adult.
Don't do that.
And I'm gonna be the adult. You know what? You know what I should do? I should send you over there. Here's what we're gonna do. I'll send you and Ello over there for a telegram, and you guys can sing to the kid some type of outlandish song about the Dons winning. How about that?
Ello would have to be lead.
Yeah, go Aztecs. Hello, my baby. Hello.
There it is.
Oh no, Rod! Party foul on your son. Brutal. He threw a Project X party. That's great. Oh, yeah. Ask the kid to suit up and meet you in the A gap. Should have been the bet. Oh, if Script Ranch loses, you're gonna have to suit up and go. You'd be a scout team running back. Juan, I would call the police. All you guys. They didn't damage anything. There was just like 200 kids outside my house the one time that they had this party. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I documented on Instagram.
I would have lost my mind.
There were kids in the yard. There were kids hanging around my car. I was like, get away from my car. There was kids out there.
I would have
everywhere.
Lost my mind.
It was crazy. Let's get to the phones. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Martin and Santee. Good to hear from you, Martin. What's going on today?
Gentlemen, great weekend for both of you as your teams won. So great. And Braden, the last couple of weeks I've been talking about ownership needed to come. Was fantastic. I didn't hear the interview this morning, but it's just good to hear all of those things. Your information out of Forbes, phenomenal. 2/3 of what they earn goes to the payroll. I don't know how many companies can say that. And also, too, the relationship between Preller and Grubner. It's like, well, I think what they say, 9 or 10 years working together. I mean, I know you guys are younger guys, but, I think I've been with a couple of companies in excess of 10 years over my career, but that's not easy. There's got to be a relationship there, and it really showed. I love how straightforward he is, coming off of Preller's sort of iffiness, and certainly Schulte with his lack of answers. So it was great to hear. The fan base should be very, very excited. They're going to do all their due diligence on the next manager, and we're on the cusp. And I really think, and the fandom is not going to change. We will be there next year for them and get another 72 sellouts and all those wonderful things. But anyway, great stuff. The party stuff. I had a little event back in my high school day. A couple, quote, peggers were the thing back in the day. when my parents went to Vegas. So it's been around a long time. I've not taken it to those levels, but anyway, great show as always. Good to hear, and Frank, you haven't called me uncle in a while, so I'm a little disappointed. So, but anyway, have a good afternoon, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Uncle Martin.
Appreciate it, Uncle Martin. Yeah, they had a mechanical bull at this party and some other things. Mom leaves town, and that house turns into a Project X house very quickly. They haven't had one in a while. Maybe she found out about him. Or she hasn't been on vacation in a long time. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to talk more about the Padres coming up tomorrow, some offseason stuff. We're going to get you in our NFL whip around tomorrow, some college football tomorrow. When we come back, we will talk with Drake Hills about San Diego FC, the season they just completed, and the playoffs to come to finish up the show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on the Braden Surprenant Show is brought to you by Toyota of Poway, voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today. Toyota of Poway has been voted San Diego's #1 Toyota dealer by USA Today, with APRs as low as 0% and tons of new Toyotas on the ground. No tricks, only treats during the Trucktober sales event happening now only at Toyota of Poway or online at toyotapoway.com in the heart of San Diego. Now that the soccer season has concluded, the regular season of the MLS, it is time to start talking about MLS playoffs. We're going to get a quick preview of that with Drake Hills. He is our soccer insider, if you will, who comes on the show each and every Friday. Today is Monday. Why is Drake on? Well, special circumstances call for special guests. And when you win the Western Conference for the first time, you got to talk a little bit about San Diego FC. Drake, what's going on? How was your weekend?
Pretty restful, just watching a bunch of MLS decision day action, and also calling a little bit of USD men's soccer. Went over the Seattle U Redhawks, but did not expect the absolute slacking that San Diego gave Portland. All of a sudden, the Timbers are now in the wild card game and could potentially head down to Snapdragon this weekend.
Yeah, when talking about what happened this weekend on decision day, I mean, there was a lot of factors that were going into it. We talked about, if San Diego FC won this game, they were guaranteed. If they were able to beat Portland, they were guaranteed to get the number 2 seed or better. If they won and Vancouver won, then they would get the 2 seed. If they won and Vancouver lost, they'd get the 1 seed. If they lost or draw, I mean, we can go through the scenarios. But what happened was San Diego FC beat down Portland, and we'll talk about the game in a second, and Vancouver lost their game, in which they all of a sudden had to now be a 2 seed because they had a red card early in the contest. How did everything play out for the Western Conference on decision day? And are you surprised by the other results?
Yeah, I was actually, kind of surprised and I'll just start with Vancouver. I mean, I look at this team has been pretty much near the top the entire season going into the West. We talked at the end of our conversation on Friday, Braden, about how I wanted, and I think all San Diego FC fans should have wanted, for San Diego to face FC Dallas should Dallas had played in the wild card and then made it to round 1, given I just think it's a great matchup in favor of San Diego. Only for Vancouver, as you mentioned, to go down off of a red card and lose to Dallas on decision day 2-1. Now, the reason why I'm certainly surprised about that is because that was at home. That was at BC Place in Vancouver. And so that opened the door to truly San Diego taking advantage of the opportunity of getting their goal differential as high as they could. I mean, you couldn't do any better than an absolute slacking against the Portland Timbers. Now, I think the other part is that, San Diego does have the head-to-head win over Vancouver, so that was the opportunity to kind of go from second into first. But let me tell you something. I think just to contextualize the win at Portland for San Diego, this wasn't just about the fact that they were clinching the number 1 seed, and that's great, but the way that they've played all season, 19 wins overall, that's a record in MLS for an expansion team, 63 points as well, surpassing LAFC, St. Louis. But also going into next year, they're in a Champions Cup spot. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, they got to take a look at what's going to happen this week in the midweek with Portland and Real Salt Lake. I think for Portland to come down here is probably the matchup that they want to see. But Diego Luna and RSL, they're no slouch. So I would, if I had to pick one, I would probably go RSL over Portland in the wildcard game to play against San Diego on Sunday.
We'll talk more about the bracket in just a second. You mentioned that they will get to be able to play in the CONCACAF Champions League by winning the Western Conference, which is great. We'll get to that also in a second. But, I mean, for a team that's an expansion team to accomplish everything that they have in winning the West in their first season as a team and, setting records for, most away points in a single season, even better than like expansion teams. I mean, not even talking about that, just like in the MLS in general, plus all of these other expansion records thrown in there. I know you said last week about making a conference semifinal would be a successful season, but an overall standpoint of first year as an organization, you couldn't really ask for anything more in the regular season than this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now that we know what the bracket looks like, I mean, just taking a look, I thought about it just a little bit, and I saw it when it came out on Saturday night. Obviously, we talked about the Portland RSL game, but if we're looking at the conference semifinal, that's going to mean Minnesota or Seattle. I think that is the for San Diego FC. I mean, you can certainly go up against, and that's going to be an interesting game, by the way, Seattle and Minnesota. Obviously, the Minnesota matchup is pretty tough, but given the results against Minnesota this year, I do like San Diego at home, late October at Snapdragon, to go up against either, I think, an LAFC or a Vancouver on the bottom half of the Western bracket. Certainly a Western Conference final is doable, but here's the problem. When you have that advantage, if you will, if you want to call it an advantage, for continuing to play from the wild card into round one, it gets tricky because in round one, I want to make sure that everyone knows there is no aggregate score. You have to win out in terms of winning that game. So if San Diego goes up 5-0 and wins game one, just because, they score a couple of goals in game two, but Portland or RSL wins, the series is 1-1. You still have to win game three. So it's just the momentum that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about staying fresh, staying sharp, because round one, just thinking historically, and Portland will tell you, going back into just a few years ago, playing on Thanksgiving Day is one of the top seeds, and they get bumped because they had a wild card game that they ended up just weren't the sharpest team on the day. So I think with the round three, the best of three rather, is just making sure that San Diego stays sharp. And I think with that, they can certainly put their eyes on a Western Conference final.
Drake Hills, who is a contributing writer for Black Players for Change as well as ESPN.com, joining us to give us some Soccer 101 on a Monday after San Diego FC was able to clinch the number one seed in the Western Conference. They did it on a 4-0 win over Portland. We kind of briefly talked about it, but that was a very telling game, I think, for San Diego FC. I mean, not a bad way to end the regular season, get you ready for the playoffs. What did you see in that contest that made San Diego FC look so good, or maybe Portland falling back a little bit?
Yeah, first things first, if this is not the best way to go out as an MVP candidate for Anders Dreyer, I don't know what is. I mean, taking a look at the fact that he gets 2 goals. So he's finished his regular season. Basically, you can say whether it be third, you can say tied for fourth or whatever, but he has the third most goals in MLS with 19. So I think, from that perspective, obviously being the assist leader, or was the assist leader, is tied with Lionel Messi now with 19 assists. So Anders Dreyer finishes the regular season with 38 goal contributions. That's goals and assists combined. I don't know what else you expect from not only an expansion team, but a player who's just come into the league on his first year. What an incredible, incredible final word from Anders Dreyer. But then secondly, Amal Pellegrino, a mid-season acquisition from San Jose. He gets the assist on Anders' second goal, and then, of course, gets 2 goals himself. He opened up the floodgates, Amal Pellegrino, the Norwegian winger. So with the health concerns and some of the bodies that have dropped off, Amal Pellegrino has been a great rotational player for this team, and exactly the type of depth that you need going to the postseason.
As you look at the Western Conference, and I mean, if they can make it far, we'll talk about the Eastern Conference. But as you look at the Western Conference, how do you see this thing shaking out? Who are some teams to be worried about if you're San Diego FC? And what kind of paths do you think some of these teams will take in the MLS Cup playoffs?
Yeah, I'm looking first at Minnesota, just obviously being a team that's in San Diego's path to the Western Conference final. Now, this is a team that's, that lost one of their DP strikers over the summer, and they sold him. And they also lost the LA Galaxy 2-1 on decision day. But, prior to that, they had some inconsistent results. They went deep into the U.S. Open Cup, and I think that may have created some maybe some extra fatigue, just wearing off going into September. They dropped the next game to Chicago, but then they go to Colorado and they drew that one, but then they beat Kansas City, which is not that great of a team, and then they lose to Galaxy. So not really sure what to think of Minnesota just in terms of their body of work and how they're doing. But that is a team that I don't just look over whatsoever. And then I would also say that LAFC is always a team that, yes, San Diego has the results, but they've got quality and they've been here before. They've won an MLS Cup, and they're a team that's full of veterans that know how to play in this league and they know how to play playoff soccer. So those are the two teams that I'm looking at.
When looking at the playoffs, I know we talked about this earlier, Drake, on the a couple of weeks ago, how the format is for the MLS Cup. Just a quick reminder, as we're talking with Drake Hills, who is a contributing writer for Black Players for Change, as well as ESPN.com, covering more international soccer. But as it lays out, obviously, the round one, there's a wild card round where Portland's going to play Real Salt Lake. The winner of that is going to jump into round one to take on San Diego FC. But you have rounds that are just one and done. You have rounds that are best in three. Oh, and by the way, in the middle of the MLS playoffs, you also have an international break. Take us through the format of the MLS playoffs for a lot of fans that might be experiencing this for the first time.
Yeah, and you mentioned that international break. That's going to be weird. That's not always the case. And, depending on, remember the World Cup in 2022 and how that was a fall World Cup, and so they had to different variations to this. But as it stands, the wild card games are going to be played on Wednesday. So San Diego is going to know by Wednesday night, are they going to play Salt Lake or are they going to play Portland on Sunday? Now, that really starts this round of three that's going to take them from this Sunday all the way through kind of that, you can call it, early November, November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd. And then the conference semifinals are going to start on the 22nd after the international break. And then, of course, you're going to have the one-offs start at the conference semifinal stage. So the wild card game is a one-off. But then first round is a best of three. Then after the international break, it goes back to being one-off games. And that will be played on the weekend of November 22nd and 23rd. And then the weekend after Thanksgiving is when you have the conference finals. So it's going to be interesting. It all leads to MLS Cup being on December 6th. Now, it's different than, let's say, the NFL because you don't have a neutral site. You do have a home team. So last year, LA Galaxy, they won it at home against New York Red Bulls. Who could imagine, Braden? I mean, there's a chance. It's going to be hard, especially for an expansion team not knowing how playoff soccer goes. But thinking about December 6th at Snapdragon Stadium, MLS Cup, how do you think about that?
That would be great, Drake, not only for San Diego FC, but also for the city of San Diego. And hopefully, when we get to around that point, we'll be talking about the MLS Cup here in San Diego. But a lot of work to do for San Diego FC. They don't even know who they're playing yet until after Wednesday. And we'll talk with Drake again later on this week. Drake, appreciate you joining us today. A little short notice to talk San Diego soccer. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you on Friday.
Talk to Drake on Friday is right. That's Drake Hills, who joins us each and every Friday to talk Soccer 101 during the MLS season. We'll talk to him again on Friday when we find out who's playing, Portland or Real Salt Lake. San Diego FC looked pretty good against Portland over the weekend.
They looked incredible.
That's the right way to finish out the regular season. Now, we're going to talk more Padres again tomorrow. We talked a lot of Padres today. And every single time, we always got more and more news. Had a lot of good information from Eric Grupner today. I know they will be playing some of that on Gwen and Chris later on this afternoon. So if you missed the interview with Eric Grupner on the morning show, if you missed it with us that we replayed at 12 o'clock, you're going to be able to hear it again on Gwen and Chris today. A shortened show for them because Monday Night Football. We have a Monday Night Football doubleheader. Only one of the games will be airing on 97 to the Fan. I do not know which game that is, but we will have Monday Night Football on these airwaves after Gwen and Chris. Gwen and Chris will be on the show next. Tomorrow, we'll get to our whip around. We'll talk about the Monday Night Football games. We'll talk about college football, and then we'll talk about some of these glaring questions for the San Diego Padres. By the way, we didn't even forgot. I forgot about it. But there was an exhibition game on Friday for San Diego State basketball against UCLA. They dug themselves into a huge hole and came all the way back. Ended up losing by 7 to the ranked UCLA Bruins. Doesn't count in the standings. And again, it's an exhibition. And I know that next week they're going to be playing USD at Viejas Arena, also in an exhibition. So a couple of exhibition games now that you're allowed to attend, which is great. I don't know if that game, I think you can. Check the website for that. But pretty cool that these scrimmages and exhibitions are now being able to be attended. We'll also talk a little bit about the Holiday Bowl, too.
I believe you're going to be the man on the call for that.
I will be for USDToros.com. That's the only place that you can hear that game or watch it. So if you want to know what's going on in USD San Diego State next Wednesday, I'm your man. I'll be on the call for that one. Holiday Bowl, close to moving to Saudi Arabia. It was. There was some clarity to that in the San Diego Union Tribune. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. But what we really want to discuss tomorrow with the Padres is, some of these top offseason focuses for the Padres. Like we talked about, obviously signing you to our extending AJ Preller, finding a manager, need to know what's going on with you, Darvish. But again, like what do you do with Mason Miller's role? Is he a starter? Is he a bullpen piece? That is a question, whether people want to admit it or not. That is something that needs to be discussed. Ethan Salas update. Obviously, he's recovering from injury from last year. I mean, he's still super young. He's only 19 years old. Like, how do you address that situation with a top prospect? Rebuilding the rotation, talking about slugging. I mean, we're going to dive into a lot of the offseason topics tomorrow on the Braden Surprenant show. But it was a fun day today. The show went by fast today, Frank.
Yeah, it did. It really flew by. And I'm just seeing this now. Adam Schefter saying Dolphins front office not planning on any changes anytime soon regarding Mike McDaniel. So it sounds like
they're going to let him play out. They know he's going to lose, and he's going to fire him. Unlike Billy Napier, who Florida thought might actually start winning. Needed to fire him before he started winning. What's going on in Florida? Florida State, Florida. Miami lost on Friday. Talk college football tomorrow. Gwen and Chris coming up next. San Diego's number sports station, 97.3 The Fan.